RotoGrinders NFL Pick Six week. Whoa, man, is it? Can we do this again? No, we're doing it live. We're doing it live. It's the NFL Pick Six show, week number 14. Good Lord, stumbling out the gate. Not stumbling. Two of the greatest DFS players, two of the greatest NFL analysts. We got Rich Hribar, Sharp Football Analysis, John Daigle, 4 for 4 Sports. You figure I would get this right by week 14, but you know what? We're sputtering out the gate. Hopefully, we'll do better than Zach Moss did last week. He certainly had plenty of opportunities. We're going to run it back. It's probably Zach Moss week once again. John, welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Do appreciate those that join us live on the old YouTube. Hit that like. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Also, check out on YouTube the Listener League. The Listener League is live. It's going to be up there as well. If you win that, if you take it down, you get 1 month free of RG Premium. Do want to shout out last week's winner, CMAC 17554. Already hooked him up with premium. CMAC, by the way, John, San Francisco stack for CMAC. No CMAC, Purdy and Debo. And that was the right call because those guys both smashed. Welcome, John. Anything to say as far as week 13? Are we going to be a forward-looking show? Only the true grinders are still with us now. Week 14, we're coming down the quarter pole.
That's the blessing of DFS and prop bets, is that's the only reason we're all doing this nowadays. I would just suggest everyone getting the Listener League, because if you do, you probably play the lineups we talk about on Wednesday, because by Sunday morning, I outthink myself on the winning lineups and I log Kenny Pickett in there instead. So please, everyone join to just play the players we talk about, like Brock Purdy absolutely smashing the slate.
You took it down amongst those that participate in the show. The highest score. Yeah. Well, there's an asterisk by it. I guess you forgot to the lineup you would have put in there. We're gonna Roger Maris you. The lineup that you would have played, you would have gone first. So you're selecting a movie for all of us to watch and talk about. At the end of the show, after we talk about the slate for an hour and a half. Rich won last week. We'll be talking about Fat Man, starring Mel Gibson. I want to go straight to Fat Man, but we're going to save that. We're going to save that for the end. I have a lot to say. Rich Hribar, Sharp Football Analysis. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to talk Fat Man, and of course, week 14 as well. What's up, Rich?
Yeah, listen, man, it's mid-December. We got to try to recoup some of this Christmas cash. I had the nice conviction on Sunday morning to just pull Alvin Kamara out of a bunch of lineups when Chris Olave was declared he was going to play. That chalk another one for tinkering with your lineups on Sunday mornings, working out so tremendously well.
Yeah, I feel like I never make the right move. I guess you just sort of forget. Like you always forget when you lose the race or when like your guy gets hurt, but you never really remember when it actually gets you benefit from it. But it feels like it doesn't happen often enough. But yeah, I'm certainly done that.
There's good guidelines if we can make like a 10 commandments, right? Like don't change your mind because of weather. Like don't touch your lineup like on Sunday morning. Like all those things. Like we could just add. We just make like a commandment list and start adding to it.
That's what's interesting about this week, is that it was even somewhat challenging to pick 3 games because we're already seeing the boards come flying down due to weather games. We'll still talk about the players, the situations, but we could lose a couple. We do need to tinker and make an exception this Sunday morning.
It's a Wednesday night, obviously. Those that are listening live know this, but like we're not going to dig too much in the weather. But I did pull up Ross' weather report, and of course he updates this on Sunday morning. Chief meteorologist Kevin Roth, and he's got Cleveland is yellow orange. Winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, gust around 25, and all this again subject to change. Jets orange, and if you don't know his color code, orange is bad. Red is like stay away, but orange is also pretty dicey.
Very rare to get a red game.
Yeah, you don't get those too often. If it's baseball and it's red, it's rained out. Almost always. that's how that works. Yeah. Jesus. Thankfully, we're not talking about Pittsburgh and New England on Thursday night.
We can. Do you want to?
I mean, if you want to talk about it, you're happy. Let me ask you this: are you going to watch this game? I know
absolutely not.
I think this is the one where like you tease your partner and like I'm making an exception for you. It's the 1st of December. I know we got the playoffs coming up in January, so I'm going to ignore football tonight for you. Just don't tell her the total is going to close at 28, 29 points.
I'm going to blind bet the over and not watch a snap. Hope for some defensive touchdowns.
Yeah, Zappy, Trubisky, get excited. I might want to insert in Zappy. Are we? Does it matter? Who knows? Somebody will be quarterbacking for the Patriots. It's not going to be Tom Brady. He's not going to be very good. And is it below 30 now? I see 30.5. Is it lower than 30.5 as far as
there's a couple 30s out there. I will say there's been 7 games in the Super Bowl era that have been 30 points or lower. 6 of the 7 have gone over. So just take a blind swing. Hope for Malik Cunningham to play, do something.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone's so distracted by Thursday that they don't even realize there's another 30-point total on Sunday. That ever since Trevor Lawrence's injury, we saw the Jaguars game plummet against the Browns. So
in that one, yeah, because like East Coast weather. There's supposed to be like a storm, but from what I heard today, it wasn't going to happen. But we'll see. Obviously, it's Wednesday. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll deal with it on Sunday if it's a thing.
Yeah, we need Daigle. We'll need Daigle to go outside because no one cares about. No one's playing any Browns Jaguars players, so you guys don't need me this week. But we'll need Daigle to see if we need to play Justin Fields and DJ Moore.
I mean, the last time it was 46 and sunny, and we still got like 30 points on the slate. So I don't know.
It didn't matter.
I'm pulling outside.
You say nobody's playing Browns and Jags players. Maybe some Browns are hitting some off them. They're not playing
Elijah Moore. People are hoping they can play Elijah Moore.
Air yards are real. Sort of, maybe.
We need a couple things to go right for us in that game, but we can talk about those in the positional plays. We don't need to go overboard there.
Yeah, John, I always try to figure out, like, you're in charge of like the 3 games we're going to talk about. Like that's kind of like your unofficial job. And you said you had a tricky time with it because it's we focus on the 3 main games. It's an 11-game slate, only 2 teams on bye, Arizona and Washington. We do have 2 games on Monday night as well. The best game of the week, Philly and Dallas. Unfortunately, not on the main slate, but that should be fun if nothing else. Sunday night after this main slate, but I don't know, John. Like I would have had a hard time really wanting to talk about 3 games, and it's an 11-gamer, but it kind of feels smaller than 11 games. Is that where you're at as well? Because it's just like, man, this game looks pretty terrible, and this one, I guess it's going to happen, but ugh.
When we get to positional plays too, I'm going to say a lot of guys who are just playing indoors. I'm going to be like, I can just ignore this whole slate and play the guys indoors in good spots. So how about that? So we'll talk about those players too. But I thought, initially looking at Rams Ravens, thought it could be fun, but we may be getting very bad weather for that. And there's still a couple of positional plays we could play. I would like to maybe go overweight on that one too if we get good weather. And then Lions Bears, it's just one of those ones where even Vegas knows since it opened, it's dropped 6 points in the total. Like it's just crashing down right now. Plus the Lions, again, we'll talk about positional plays too, but Lions are in such a bad spot, man. Like this paper tiger defense has been exposed. Now maybe no Frank Ragnow. So it's already been tough to run on quite literally the league's best rush defense in Chicago. Now try to do it without your all-pro starting center. It could be rough out there too. So it's pretty ugly.
We now also drop props during the show. And one of the things that I wanted to bet earlier in the week was Justin Fields rushing yards. I wonder if that has changed or if it's even dropped because I could not find it yesterday. But that's maybe that's something we can talk about.
It's early, right? It's probably not out.
They don't even have Ezekiel Elliott props yet on most books because I don't know what they're waiting for. I guess for Ramondre, don't even know what they're waiting for. But some books were very late to drop them. I guess because everyone knows he's going to get 20 carries in the ugliest game of all time.
Well, JaMychal Hasty's gonna come in and be the showdown king. By the way, I just found Fields 60.5 is the number that I'm seeing on DK. 60.5 basically across the board on MGM and on Caesar. So yeah, I was hoping for mid-50s. I don't know. We'll talk about that. 60.5.
He's rushed for 100 yards in 3 straight games against the Lions.
Yeah. I think I'm still gonna hit it. They can't make it too high. We'll see. All right, let's talk about the first of the 3 main games we're going to talk about here before we run it back and talk about players that are not in the 3 main games. Indianapolis, they take on Cincinnati. It's a 43.5 total. That's our first game, right? Am I reading this wrong? That is correct.
Whatever
right,
you want it to be, Dean. That's whatever you want it to be.
I want to talk Houston Jets.
The other 2, we're not going to do that. The other 2 other 2 games we're talking about are late swap opportunities. So that's the only reason we should probably put them second. But this one is one where the total is increased. And both defenses are so bad that we think their offenses can get there. Some of the pieces are going to be chalky in this game too. So it's one we have to talk about. You're on mute, Dean.
3 weeks in a row.
You're off to a
weeks.
Hall of Fame first 10 minutes of a show.
3 weeks in a row.
This is not going to go my reel.
This is a bit now.
This
This is like an official bit of the show. Oh, I forgot. We forgot in the intro, the actual bit. We actually have a real happy birthday, John Daigle.
Oh, is it? I didn't know this.
Yeah.
You know, the actual Dean, were you around when it used to be the bit where we wish Daigle happy birthday?
I knew it was a thing. Yeah, people in the chat would just always every single week would wish him happy birthday.
No one noticed but me, but our good friend Travis Mangone was in the chat last week, and he said it. I don't know how he remembered. I think he has his alarm set, honestly, every year. But he was in the chat blowing it up last week, and I didn't mention it because I didn't want anyone to see it. But yes, yesterday was my official birthday.
You're at the age now where you don't even like it being acknowledged. Is that what's going on? Just like, I don't want to talk about it.
I think that's always been the age, but also, honestly, I think the older you get, and this is something Rich has kind of sprinkled into my life the last year, maybe therapy also, but it's hit a lot harder that we should genuinely just spend our entire lives being appreciative of our friends and family. Like it's that simple. Like, as someone who, I even went to a bar by myself last night, but I did like a little friend get together over margaritas and then stopped at the bar by myself to just remember who I am, be appreciative. Cause it's where I get my confidence from, is being able to go to movies by myself, dinner by myself. And I love doing those things, but to also share those experiences with like good friends in the area, it is special. It really is. So I did both last night.
That's really sweet. If nothing else, you take from this podcast, if you learn nothing football-wise, that's a good message for sure. When you go to dinner by yourself, do you have like a laptop? You're on your phone? You're reading a book? What are you doing?
I do carry a small book in my back pocket around sometimes, or I have the Kindle as well where I pull it out. But no, honestly, I am a social butterfly. I don't even try to be. So most of the time, honestly, I end up getting like the bartender's number, like both male and female, just to be friends. And I don't even mean to, but it becomes this conversation where you make personal connections, and that's all it is. So I can remember like Josh at Central Park Bar down the road. I know Venus at Park and Field around the corner, because my useless talent is names. I can remember everyone's names. So it certainly has helped in my adult life.
All right. Yeah, that's it. That's certainly a good to have in your arsenal for sure. Cincinnati, but the reason why this threw me off, this number did jump, like you said, and I had it written down the other day at 39.5. And like, this is one lineup the one that's actually jumped up. They must have saw how amazing Jake Browning was on Monday night, and we're crowning him. All of a sudden, he's like the 15th best quarterback in the NFL by default. Bengals at home here, 1.5 point dogs versus the Colts. 43.5 is the total. John, feel free to start wherever you want to start. And I guess, Zach Moss, we're going to run it back, right? The opportunity was there, process versus results. He had 7 opportunities in the red zone, or at least inside the 10. I don't think he had any of the 1 or the 2 or the 3, but, he was who we thought he was. He just didn't score, and he wasn't efficient, but he's still really, really cheap.
It reminds me of the Devin Singletary spot we were all once in, where he did poor but got all the touches the week prior, and then the seas parted and the softest spot imaginable then popped up, and we just somewhat ignored it, but people got there in tournaments, and that's kind of what this is too in my mind, because the Bengals rush defense is how we get there for an every touch running back, and they're still allowing the league's highest rate of explosive carries for 10+ yard gains. The only defense allowing over 16% of the carries against them to gain 10+ yards too. And so if Zach Moss, as you said, is going to handle 21 of 23 backfield touches, I feel like I don't have a choice but to go back. Maybe some of those carries within the 5-yard line or in the 10-yard line even go our way this time. And I think everyone's going to get there in cash games. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But really, we think we get pushback because a lot of the questions we're asking in redraft DFS this year is like, how much are we losing these star players whenever the backup quarterbacks come in? Since the league is just now sprinkled with backup quarterbacks. But at least we're seeing that some guys like Jake Browning can still elevate you or keep you relevant in soft matchups. And that's exactly what this is for the Bengals, because everything Jake Browning did against the Jaguars, there's nothing that can't be sustained in one more game against the Colts, who've had an easy schedule over the last month, but getting rid of the ball quickly, screens, these are all things he can do in this game too. And if that's the case, then we know no matter how we get there, whether with Gardner Minshew or two Colts players, we can always run it back with Jamar Chase in this game, because now in the last two starts from Browning, Jamar Chase, 27.7% target share. He's still the wide receiver 13 in points per game in that time. We saw his blow up game this past week as well. So just definitely have confidence with Jamar Chase in this slate. I don't think I need to get to Jake Browning here. I like some other cheap quarterbacks we'll talk about later, but Jamar Chase, and then figuring out which pieces to run with him, including Zach Moss. Yes.
Yeah, just watching the game, I think they manufacture 3, 4, 5 screens for Chase. Like he's got a bunch.
They've done that now 2 other times in his career too. Remember when he was a rookie and he was only spiking 20-yard touchdowns, and then defenses finally started bracketing him. Brian Callahan just moved him closer to the line of scrimmage and said, "Okay, we'll just shorten your ADOT and we'll get you targets closer here. That way you always get the ball." And then during the playoffs last year, a couple years ago, maybe last year it was, whenever T. Higgins was injured, they also then just started jamming him the ball. Said, "Okay, we'll change your routes. We'll bring you closer again, and we'll get you 13.5 targets per game." So they're very good. Unlike a lot of teams, just saying, we know we need to get Jamar Chase the ball. He's the one who matters the most here.
Rich, jump in here. Want your take as far as Moss? Yeah, they pumped this price up a little bit, but not enough. 5.9 on DK, 6.8 on FanDuel, assuming the same opportunity continues going forward. If somebody told you, if you're considering fading Moss and like what his opportunities were last week, you would have felt maybe starting to second guess yourself. But you survived it. Congratulations. But I'm going to go back. I know he's going to be popular again. And then, talk about Chase, all the other pieces. We love Colts games. Colts are a lot of fun. They tend to score a fair bit of points. They yield some points as well. So this is certainly one of the more popular games, one of the more, appealing games on this slate. By the way, producer Rob's going to be coming in later. And remember, he gave us a task. You guys remember what the task was at the end of the show last week? Do not say the word interesting. And I'm just saying it in a sentence, but let's get to the entire podcast without describing anything as interesting.
If I were to use it in my soliloquy, I apologize.
I don't know if you did or you didn't, but it just sort of popped in my head. But now it's going to be something that I want to avoid. Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Daigle pretty much covered it. Everything about the Bengals defense, Moss's opportunity. Dean, we learned the lesson. Again, we talked about it last week. I mean, if a guy is coming in to face the Titans, you just don't do it, right? Like Jerome Ford got there in an accident because he caught that long touch. He had like a 20-yard touchdown catch in that game. But with Josh Kelly, Jerome Ford, and now Zach Moss, the latest guys to get a chance to face the Titans on chalk week that didn't really get there. So that's the lesson, second in the NFL in points allowed per game on running back touches. So when the guys coming in to face the Titans, we got to leave it be. But yeah, the Bengals are totally different. 28th in yards per carry out the running backs, last in the league in explosive runs allowed, 24th in rushing points per game. And Zach Moss also is 4th in the NFL in explosive rushing yards on the season. So that opportunity is there for him. I want to talk about Michael Pittman just a little bit because I talked about him last week as great kind of pivot and leverage off of Zach Moss last week. And I talked about last week, he was basically like getting exact usage how Amon-Ra St. Brown is getting used, but like no one talks about it. And it held true again. I mean, another 100-yard game for him. He's got 8 or more catches in 5 straight games. He's got at least 8 catches in 9 of 12 games this season. And the Bengals also are very passive on the outside too. They're allowing 9.1 yards per target to wide receivers. They're 31st in yards per catch. The only thing kind of saving them is they don't give up a lot of touchdowns to wide receivers because running backs are scoring them all, and tight ends. But also Michael Pittman is just like locked in. Like, what you're getting out of him. And he's not getting like that Amon-Ra St. Brown treatment, but like he's getting like the exact same usage.
You like pairing him with Minshew?
Not really. I mean, it's just because I don't like playing guys like Minshew, but I can see on this particular slate how people will get to Minshew because it's another, when you're talking about like the meta construction of the slate, we don't have a lot of high ceiling quarterbacks again, like we had last week. And we were basically talking Josh Allen, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, and then a pretty wide gap because Patrick Mahomes is no longer that this season.
I mean, not just quarterbacks either. We don't have Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Christian McCaffrey's the one running back, unless someone wants to come along for the Austin Eckler ride with me. We'll get there. Greater men have done that and have died in the end, so we'll see. But yeah,
I'm out on Eckler. The video killed me.
Although I like some high priced wide receivers, we really just don't have those guys. CeeDee Lamb too, that really scares us at the top.
I was just because I ran some optimals. You guys don't like to run my Wednesday night optimals, grain of salt, yada yada. But like the number one quarterback hitting optimals on DK, I don't think it's terribly surprising, is Justin Fields. We kind of touched on him already. The second most popular hitting optimals, I added some variance, I added some juice to it. Second and third is Jake Browning and Gardner Minshew. These two guys, salary cap is a thing. We do live in the world of salary cap. Purdy and Lamar, by the way, are 4 and 5 for what it's worth. That's DK. You have the money for Lamar on FanDuel. A little bit different build over there.
I mean, if you get the same run on us last week, it's like if you choose not to pay up at quarterback, I mean, it's the opportunity is there. We saw it last week. I mean, Tua didn't play in the second half last week. Yeah. Obviously, Hurts got there kind of. He was fine, and then like Purdy smashed. Those like the three guys we were kind of honed in on. But a lot of kind of pay down jamokes were pretty good last week. So like it opened the door to get access to some of those really high price plays we wanted to get to. I mean, even we joked about Flacco. Like Flacco at his salary was awesome.
Yeah,
at 4.6, he was really awesome. 16 fantasy points where he was compared to what you got out of the rest of the slate. Like that's where we are again this week. It's same thing. And like guys like Lamar Lamar's gotten there once like the past 5 weeks. So like the opportunity is there.
I could see myself tacking on the quarterback with some of the cash game pieces just to be unique around them. Like Gardner Minshew, for example, like a Baker Mayfield or Desmond Ridder. I could see myself doing that this week just to try to get there instead.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like Minshew, Moss, and Pittman, and I don't know if I want to force a run back. Certainly you can get a run back on the Cincinnati side. We're getting Higgins pretty cheap. He was not very good last week in his first game back. He's also really thinking about his next contract. Like I think he had normal reps, right? I'm just a little bit hesitant on him, like getting fully pushed. If anything happens, and we've seen Higgins lose, exit a lot of games over the years. He never seems to come back. Like if he gets something, he's like, I'm good. And he's waiting to get paid in the offseason. Maybe I'm just creating my own narrative there, Rich, but just a little hesitant on him. Chase, he had that one big play. Of course, they're manufacturing plays for him. Browning is limited but competent, it seems, at least in a one-game sample. And you're also getting a bit of a discount on Chase at 7.6. If Burrow was there against the Colts, he's probably like $9K, right? I feel like it's kind of built into the price there on Chase. Am I crazy as like a game stack, Rich? Are we okay with that?
No, I'm okay with it. I mean, like I said, you're looking at like the context of building lineups in the slate. I think you can get to either of these quarterbacks in this game because if it pops and you get you flirt with the 20, because the Bengals played on Monday night, so Browning is just kind of hanging out there in a salary.
Yeah.
So if he can get there, like, I mean, he's thrown for 9.6 yards per pass and 8.7 yards per pass. They showed like they're still going to be aggressive in terms of like pass volume. So the opportunity is there, I think, for like one of these guys, whether it be, and we've seen Minshew rush for touchdowns too. So I think these would be the two guys in the particular game environment, just because they're easy to stack. You've got cheap access to like a kind of a mini stack, no matter how you want to play it. Either way. So, I mean, this is kind of like the game that kind of opens the door at 1:00. And if Browning sucks, you make all your late swaps.
It's funny you say that because those people that play the 1:00 only slates, what is it? I think it's 7 and 4 is the split. There's 4 late games. Like the best games are like all late. And like if you play the 1:00 only, man, you're going to be building some gross lineups. You're all dealing with the same puzzle pieces, but the 1:00 slate, it's going to be rough. John, for those of us that watch the red zone, Rich, world's smallest violin playing for us, jumping from bad game.
Did you see any Patriots Chargers on the red zone?
I saw it a couple times, but I didn't mind it because the Patriots wore the throwback like 3-point stance, like the all white jerseys with the 3-point stance helmet, spectacular helmet. The game was gross. But again, do not advise watching that game on Thursday night once again. John, final word as far as this game, and we see in chat, I saw a question in chat asking about Brown. Do we consider Chase? He was good in a small sample. He was super efficient, but I don't know if we're chasing that. I don't know. Are we that desperate for salary? Probably not. I didn't mean to do a pun there, but Chase Brown we're talking about.
It was still all Joe Mixon, both in the receiving game and inside the 10-yard line. That's how we would get there if we play one of these other like cheapy running backs. So no, not interested. Not interested in Joe Mixon either. I'm not chasing 2 touchdowns from the 10 when it was the same thing that happened the last, all season long, actually. He just happened to score touchdowns this time. That's kind of what he needs with this usage to get there, not to mention Chase Brown popping up to take carries away. So Not interested in Mixon either.
It's a pretty good price, but I guess this show is known for no, we don't want to play Mixon. I don't care what the price is.
Mixon and Josh Jacobs. So you'll never get us. You'll never get us.
although Jacobs had the 60-yard touchdown run, and then the Chiefs proceeded to outscore the Raiders 31-3, and it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, the optimizers are going to like Mixon. 6-1 on DK, 7-2 on FanDuel. But
Mixon and ETN. They love Mixon and ETN. Never stop popping them out.
We got anything else here? We're moving on, right? Yes, I think so. Seattle at San Fran. San Fran, big boy favorite here. 10.5 point favorite versus Seattle. 46.5 is the total. Rich, we're currently without running backs for Seattle. Charbonnet and Walker, neither practiced on a Wednesday. It seems more likely Walker's not going to play. Maybe we get Charbonnet. Maybe we get neither. I don't know if DJ Dallas is the kind of guy that's going to run between tackles. I don't know who Kenny McIntosh is, but I'm told he's a person. And he would be running the ball for
Not
Seattle.
Sure yet. We still don't know that.
We cannot confirm that Kenny McIntosh.
He is. He was a good pass catcher, but man, you go look, Dean, if you want to see a player profiler, pull up Kenny McIntosh. It's this dude. He ran a 4.65 at running back. He's a good pass catcher though, but man, he's not the most athletic. He was not carved out of the stones of Mount Olympus for sure.
7th round draft pick. Do you want to know his best comp?
Oh man, it's gotta be Keith Byers or something. Keith Byers is really good, but he's kind of like that though. He's kind of just a pass catcher, a bigger bodied pass catcher.
Dare Ogunwale is his best comparable according to player profile. Does that work for you? It makes sense.
Strictly a pass catcher, bigger bodied. Yeah, that works.
All right, there you go. Sometimes
not a great field goal kicker though, like Dare is.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never seen him kick.
And DJ Dallas is also a very good pass catcher.
So would Seattle just pass the ball 45 times, 50 times? If that's, I mean, who knows? It's Wednesday. But I think we're even projecting Walker out right now. Is he officially out, or just assuming he's not going to play?
No. We don't know either. We have no idea. Both up in the air.
Okay. And Carroll's always super optimistic, and he's going to lie to you and whatever, and chew his gum, and then you'll find out an hour and a half before the game, I suppose. But yeah. Rich, I was throwing it to you, Seattle, and I guess it's kind of up in the air. And I don't know why I'm not focusing on San Fran. San Fran's the best team in football, but I jumped to Seattle first, I guess. But feel free to knock out the Seahawks first.
Yeah, I'm not playing any Seahawks, guys. I saw someone in this chat suggest that Seahawks are going to win this game. I mean, listen, it'll be a hell of an upset, but Gino's 0-4 against the 49ers, and he's just been under siege in these games. They've sacked him 14 times in these games. He's been under pressure on almost 50% of his dropbacks. He's thrown 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in the 4 games. I mean, if you saw even the Thanksgiving game was just an extension of what we've seen every time these two teams play. He just has no time to throw. Everything's in the quick game. It's just rough, man. It's been a rough outing. It's weird how the NFC West has this oscillation of the coaches that have success against each other, right? Like McVay is awesome against Seattle and Arizona, and then but Shanahan's good against McVay. It's weird. It's this weird dynamic how they kind of trade blows with each other.
That's why I wish we kept Cliff Kingsbury, because he was always easy to break down too.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the 49ers are still the most interesting side, just because we know that they're just so hyper efficient and they have such thin volume. But how do you kind of diagnose who's going to be the guy to kind of pop this week? Because no one's going to stack touches. I mean, last week was literally the full Deebo Samuel experience. I mean, the dude had 4 targets, he had 3 carries, he had 1 air yard, and had 40 fantasy points. It's just incredible. And we always look for him in these kind of spots, right? Whenever Deebo and the 49ers are facing a ultra zone heavy opponent, and Seattle's playing zone coverage on 83% of passing snaps, 3rd in the NFL. He's been targeted on 24% of his routes get zone coverage, just 16% against man coverage. He gets kind of all of these targets that don't really count as targets. So even when you face a team that's good against boundary receivers like Seattle is, it doesn't matter. And we saw evidence of that again on Thanksgiving. I mean, when these teams played, he caught 7 of 9 targets when Seattle was in zone coverage. It matched a season high in targets that he had in a game that Brandon Ayuk played. And if you look at his history in this matchup, particularly, it is a Deebo Samuel type of matchup. So, I mean, it feels like a little bit like where you're like, oh, we're chasing points or chasing the box score from even when these teams play on Thanksgiving. But consistently, when teams have played this structure of defense, like Deebo Samuel has been kind of the guy to focus on for the 49ers.
The 1 air yard thing it was kind of lost on me. Like, I know that's a pretty wild stat. That's pretty amazing for sure. I know he was crazy efficient, 4 for 4. How about that? 4 for 4 for 116 yards. John, is there anybody you can sell us on Seattle? No, you have to. You're contractually obligated. You got to pick 3 games for us to focus on. Was this just wanted to talk about San Fran? Do you want to sell us on someone against Seattle, or it's just like San Fran onslaught?
It's a little bit of a rest advantage here. That always piques my interest if I think something has changed and maybe it's a completely different game than the last one. But Rich pretty much highlighted it. We now have 4 contests between these 2 teams, and it hasn't been pretty in that span the last 2 months or the last 2 years. If the slate requires value, I don't mind getting to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I have no idea what his ceiling is. Maybe it is just peppered with underneath targets and you shouldn't play him anyhow, or he's at least just a better play on DraftKings. But at least we saw like Geno Smith last week. They stressed getting the ball out of his hands more quicker just to avoid sacks and the offensive line that's still undergoing injuries and try to recover from them. And that's what happened. Like Geno Smith got rid of the ball at the 4th highest rate in the league last week. Through week 12, he was 26th at 2.7 seconds. And then when he got rid of the ball at less than 2.5 seconds last week, he went 16 of 26 for 8.9 yards per attempt and 2 touchdowns. So the 49ers probably still squash him here, but I could be convinced if you need the salary, Jack Smith and Jigba. Otherwise, I think it's clearly DK Metcalf, although chasing 40 points from Metcalf in this game, still slightly concerning.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at Seattle, so much of what happened in that game on Thursday was such an outlier from what we've seen for them this season that it's hard for me to just say like, all right, well, Seattle scored all these points against Dallas, like they're back. Like we have this large and when you look at it, like Geno Smith completed fewer than 60% of his passes in that game. Obviously, you have the huge play to DK Metcalf. Like there wasn't a lot of consistency on a drive-to-drive basis. They had a lot of big plays, which they've kind of been lacking throughout the course of the season. So are we going to chase that against this 49ers defense, right? Because the Cowboys are a heavy man defense. Like they will give up big plays. Like if you followed the Cowboys under Dan Quinn, they will give up like these games where they give up huge plays because they're an aggressive man-to-man defense. The 49ers are not. Like the 49ers are a team, they play a lot of quarters. They play the most cover 4 in the NFL. They are going to be a little more passive. And that's kind of what, they don't give up a lot of these huge plays. So it's hard for me to just chase and say like, well, look at what Seattle did against Dallas. Like that's in the range of outcomes here. Like there's definitely talent here in the Seattle side that can succeed. But I mean, I think it's just kind of like, this is one where like, I'm not going to chase like what happened there.
Completely fair. And we saw that the Cowboys with this amazing schedule for fantasy, bad news for them, but we saw they actually take on the analogy of Deron Bland, where it turns out not a shutdown corner, but an opportunist like Marcus Peters, which is totally okay. But
we saw Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, they allow the big plays, but they also like will shut you down at some points and create turnovers. So that's okay.
And since the 49ers came out of the bye, like this defense has, they had the little hiccup, right? Like, remember, like the sky was falling for the 49ers for like, they had a 2-week sample where their quarterback had, turnovers in the 4th quarter and they didn't play like the greatest defense. Like that's NFL variance, right? Like, but the whole sample, like they've been awesome since the bye, like absolutely just decimated teams. Like this defense has been right back to where it was right before, like they had that 2-game hiccup stretch against the Vikings and Bengals.
And that's when they also added Chase Young over their buy at the trade deadline, came back out with a chance to integrate him. I still may tack along one of these players, but I even started this game breaking it down earlier today and was thinking maybe it is a good spot for Geno Smith. The more I looked into it and I thought, okay, I'm still obviously playing it from the 49ers side. I'm not sure yet if I'm bringing one along. I could see myself if I get the Brock Purdy, but I also think Brock Purdy may be the cash game option again. We'll see if everyone wants to get cheaper.
Yeah, I think from a ceiling perspective, the only dude you can kind of really entertain until we get clarity in the running backs is Metcalf, right? Because like if you even go back to the Thanksgiving game, if they're going to use Charvarius Ward to shadow him, and you're going to get that same run out, right? Like that same opportunity, right? Because Metcalf had 34% of team targets in the game. He had 60% of the air yards. and 38% target rate when the 49ers did go to man coverage in that game. There was a couple of long balls. He stepped out he caught one and he didn't get his second foot down. Charvarius Ward broke one up. So if you're going to tell me you get that same kind of just the same target opportunity, I would take my chances on Metcalf cashing that in versus trying to chase like a Tyler Lockett or trying to chase a JSN, because those guys haven't shown a high ceiling this year.
All right. Anything else as far as this game, John, or shall we move on? Buffalo and KC is the main course, I guess, of this 3-game set we're going to talk about.
You could honestly pick any two of the three between Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. If you want to bring Christian McCaffrey along with Brock Purdy, we've seen 2 winning slates now where that can be the case. I think even on the limited touches, we've seen the last 2 weeks now against Seattle and Dallas that the issue is George Kittle is no longer irrelevant in this target tree. Like, he's now popping up and he's the one taking away target share from Brandon Ayuk. And it's Deebo Samuel the last 2 games who's led the team in target share. Kittle's at 19%, and then Ayuk is all the way down at 14%. So all are viable. I'm probably just following the ownership, honestly, and I'm choosing the 2 lowest ones because all can get there.
Seattle, San Fran, one of the top 4 o'clock games, probably the best 4 o'clock game. Buffalo at KC, 48.5 is the total. Biggest total on the board for the main slate. Buffalo, a desperate team. I believe they're 6-6, if I'm not mistaken. They kind of need to win out to make the playoffs, to get a playoff run. And Vegas kind of respecting that 1.5-point dog here in Kansas City. Tough place to play. John, start where you want to start. This is the 2 best quarterbacks, right? Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, at least from a talent perspective, I guess we can say. Well, what are we going to do as far as Buffalo, KC? What team appeals to you more?
And I think Vegas has looked at the last 2 matchups between these 2 teams and said, we know how this game's going to go. But that's not who these 2 teams are this year. And I'm actually somewhat worried about Kansas City punching back in this game. I've tried to sell their offense, just figuring it out for all season long. And maybe they still get lucky with the Trevor Lawrence injury and take down the number 1 seed in the AFC, get the bye figured out for the playoffs. But this is not the same offense we're scared of at all. More importantly, the way I'd want to play it is through the Josh Allen side, because despite firing Ken Dorsey, that wasn't the issue whatsoever. They're still right now in the league top 5 in yards per drive, points per drive. And this Chiefs defense, with all due respect to their families, because of their injuries, they're throwing out guys at linebacker and edge that shouldn't even be in the NFL. Like, these guys just can't cover. And that's why the issue is that while the Chiefs offense has been figuring it out, the Chiefs defense is really what's getting rolled on. And the last month of the season now, they are 18th in explosive runs allowed, 22nd in explosive passes allowed, 23rd in yards per attempt allowed. You can honestly kind of just do whatever you want. And so the way I want to play this is through Josh Allen double stacks and maybe not even run it back, to be honest, because it seems like a situation, at least from my view, where the Bills just kind of run this one over.
You betting the Bills outright? That's what it sounds like to me. You're getting a point and a half.
I am betting the Bills outright. Yeah, I'm like the 49ers. I'm confident in the Bills points. Or I'm sorry, like the Eagles 49ers last week. I'm confident in the Bills side. I'm just still curious, which is why I'm so interested to get Rich's take, because I want to know how the Chiefs are going to get here.
All right, Rich. Sell him Kansas City a little pushback. Rice looks like the most interesting play at this point. He's clearly emerged among whatever nonsense is on the receiving core there for Kansas City. MVS, narrative street, revenge game did not work out for him. Sky Moore, I guess that's not happening. Tony, Watson, James, obviously Kelsey got to pay for him. But Rich, feel free to talk about Buffalo as well, obviously. But do you think Kansas City pushes back or even wins the game outright?
I mean, listen, Mahomes is a short favorite. Has always been historically great profit to take. So, but I mean, this is it for the Bills. The Bills lose this game, I think it's pretty much over for them. Obviously, if the Chiefs lose this game, they still probably win the NFC West. They're still competing for things, but this is kind of it for the Bills. Like, this is kind of a must-win game for Buffalo. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out. The Chiefs, just offensively, just haven't really been. They've just been off, and they've done this in previous years. They've gone through funks, but I mean, this year definitely is the worst of the Mahomes offenses. And it's not really necessarily just Mahomes' fault. I mean, he's still playing relatively well on a per play basis, but they are 31st now in the NFL in points scored below their implied team total. They've scored 50.2 0.25 points below their implied total this season. That's 31st in the NFL. Only the Patriots are worse. They've only hit their implied team total in 3 games this year against the Bears, the Chargers, and the Raiders. Only 3 games they've hit their implied team total. They've scored fewer than 20 points 5 times this season. From 2019 to 2022 with Patrick Mahomes as their starter, they did it 6 times total. So like this is definitely not like the throwback version of the Chiefs. And some of that is their defense is so good that they haven't had to completely stay on the gas in the fourth quarter of these games. So it's opposed to some previous iterations of the Chiefs that had weaker defenses. But this offense definitely, even if you saw that game on Sunday night, like they're just not converting. I mean, they're 31st in the NFL and they're just not getting explosive plays. They're 31st in the NFL in length of touchdown. Their average length of touchdown is only 9.6 yards. Only the Falcons are worse than them.
Wow.
So, I mean, they're just not creating a lot of explosives and we're not getting there. And it's just really kind of hard. Like it's these 2 guys that you can kind of focus into, I think from like a bring back side are Rashee Rice, because we've seen he's had 30% target share the past 2 games. He's not running as many routes as we'd like, but he's getting closer. Like the last 2 weeks, he still set a new season high. He was just under 70% route participation last week. So at least he's getting there on the field. And then you've got Travis Kelce, who's always expensive, but Travis Kelce has murked the Bills in this matchup, man. I mean, like just continuously, like you look at Kelsey's game log, like against these games when he's had Patrick Mahomes, 5 for 65 and 2 touchdowns, 13 for 118 and 2 touchdowns, 6 for 57 and a touchdown, 8 for 96 and a touchdown, 8 for 108, double-digit targets in all these games but 1. So like you do have still like a couple Chiefs you can bring it back with, but Patrick Mahomes like no longer is a guy like you have to like jam in. Like where is the ceiling for him? He has 2 top 6 scoring weeks this entire season. He's the 4th time he's had 4 of his past 5 games. He's been the QB 12 or lower in the week. Like he's not having like those, like you're not scared. He's not a boogeyman anymore. You don't have to jam him in. And he's not even inherently like leverage anymore.
By the way, I think you made the case for MVP Tyreek Hill in all that conversation as well too. I don't know. That's not what you're doing necessarily, but that's what I was hearing. You know, the lack of Hill on this offense. That's not the only thing, of course. But significant.
And what happened with the Chiefs defense is the turnovers, right? Like they're not getting turnovers. Earlier in the season, they were getting a bunch of turnovers. They have a takeaway on 5.9% of opponent possessions their past 5 games. That's 30th in the NFL. Prior to that, they were 8th in the NFL in takeaways per drive. And that's just big swing, right? Like we've seen the Denver Broncos, right, get on this heater because they've gotten all these takeaways, but like their defense on a per play basis is still giving up a lot of yardage. So if you can get takeaways, like that's a big deal. And like the Chiefs are no longer getting these takeaways, and teams have started to have a lot more offense success against them recently.
John, you were talking about Buffalo doubles. Oh, go ahead.
No, I would say I referenced the injuries because now they're not getting pressure out of their bye either. I think Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill, all these guys are actually pretty important to the scheme, and they got no one out there right now. They're just so banged up.
Buffalo
the Chiefs, like watch the Chiefs turn it on though, man. Like I'm not want to say this as like a fade the Chiefs. I just think we kind of know Rashee Rice and Kelce are the guys. I don't think this is a Pacheco spot. Like obviously Pacheco, if you've just kind of followed the schedule, like he's very schedule induced and touchdown induced. So if you believe he can get in the box here, then you can play him. But I mean, the Bills have been a really good run defense, basically since week 7. And, they added Linval Joseph, about a month ago, but really it was just not giving up the explosive. Like the Bills have been a consistent good run defense all year. But like what it was killing them is that they would just give like these huge runs, and that they haven't been giving up the explosive runs now over the past, several weeks. And that's kind of evened out, kind of their performance, but they've been really good against the run. So it should be like the Chiefs have to drop back and throw in this game.
I think you've sold me on Josh Allen, cheap doubles, and Travis Kelce, because I don't think you can get to Allen, Diggs, and Kelce and still make a relevant lineup in this slate. Maybe you can. So congrats to you if y'all want to go tinker around and figure it out. But I am interested in like some unique Allen doubles. Like we have Gabe Davis, and everyone knows like the 4 touchdown game over 200 yards, of course. But Gabe Davis, like these are the kind of spots he pops up in. The Eagles were the most recent example of, okay, we think their offense just move the ball with ease. Thus, Gabe Davis gets there. But in terms of construction and fitting him in, okay, now we can say Gabe Davis. And I think I'm interested in James Cook quite a bit with Josh Allen too. It's not just the fact you can attack the Chiefs on the ground. But under Joe Brady the last 2 games, the biggest change for the Bills were using their running backs underneath. Their running backs have 19 targets the last 2 games under Joe Brady, which is the 4th highest rate in the league. And now we're talking about James Cook in this must-win spot out of a bye, more time to integrate the scheme. I think Josh Allen, James Cook, Gabe Davis is like my favorite Allen double stack. Not to mention, I'm not going to say we're going to lose him. There's always a possibility. But since Dawson Knox is available, we don't know who's going to be on and off the field between Knox, Kincaid, and Khalil Shakur, since the Bills only were running 90% of their plays from 3 wide sets because Dawson Knox got injured. Before that, they were 26th in the league. They were leaning on 2 tight end sets the entire time. We don't know what they're going to do out of the bye.
It's interesting you mentioned you're talking about the doubles without Diggs, and I was looking at Diggs. He just seems like kind of like the Mahomes. Mahomes is kind of sort of priced off his reputation, priced off last year still. Diggs is like good, but should he be 8-8? Probably not. You know, you look not to be the game log guy, but like when was the last time like you were like, oh man, I'm so happy I rostered Diggs? Week 4? He put up 39 DK points. And
he started the year on fire. I think he went over 100 yards. I think like 5 of his first 6 games, and then that's kind of evened out. I think he's done like 1 of the past 6. He's been over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Also, like when you look at who the Chiefs have been getting beat by, it's typically the secondary wide receiver. I mean, you look at wide receiver ones to face the Chiefs. Devontae Adams has the most yards against them, 73. That's the most yards they've allowed to a wide receiver one this season. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 71, AJ Brown at 8, Keenan Allen 55, Tyreek Hill 62. They had L'Jarius Sneed shadow Romeo Doubs instead of Christian Watson on Sunday night, which was a move. But when you look at the secondary guys, though, against these Chiefs, and I guess Devontae Smith doesn't count. He's more of a 1A, but he had 6 for 99. Josh Palmer, 5 for 133. Jacoby Myers, last time we saw the Raiders play, had 6 for 79 and a touchdown. Jordan Addison, when Justin Jefferson was on the field, had 6 for 64 and a touchdown. Josh Reynolds had 80 yards. Alan Lazard had 61 yards and a touchdown. So I do think there's an avenue here where we could get the Gabe Davis, man.
How certain are we that Knox is playing? Is he still kind of up in the air?
I think McDermott said he was for sure gonna play, but I don't know. Someone would have to check on that. But...
And the timeline makes sense because his 4-week mark was before the bye, so that he got the extra 2 weeks. So that's
when I remember is when they asked McDermott before the bye if he was going to play against the Eagles. He said they wanted to give him 1 more week, so it was like getting an extra week. It was like getting 2 weeks.
And I would love to have more confidence because their most potent offense has been with Knox off the field and just run. Well, I shouldn't say that. With 3 wide sets. That's been their best offense. That makes the most sense the way Josh Allen plays football too. But, I mean, to have confidence in anything McDermott does, I don't know, man. I can't get there.
I was just trying to think of Knox as a potential 3K cheapie. I like Kincaid, but how much does he get hurt by Knox coming back? So, yeah.
Little 3K lottery ticket. It's not really a good spin down tight end week, so I'm listening.
Yeah, we'll talk about tight end in a second. You guys are the optimizer tight end. It's not it's somebody that's been good of late. At least getting a ton of targets of late. We'll figure that out when we get there. But I guess we're getting there now, right? As far as our favorite plays, position by position, we're gonna run it back. You know, the games we're not yet discussing. You know, the remaining 8.
I do have something. Do you want to know? So the Braden Illuminati call of the week this week.
Oh, I love it. Go for it.
So his theory is K. Dotton this week, and do you want to know why? You ready? Are you ready for the breakdown?
It's not a bad play, to be fair, but
are you ready for the breakdown?
Yeah.
So K. Dotton to start the year went 3 games and didn't score. Then he caught 1 touchdown. Then he went 3 games and didn't score and caught 2 touchdowns.
Hell yeah!
And now he said it's going to be a 3 touchdown K. Dotton week. By the way, the symmetry works out.
Hell yeah!
The
worst part about it is that it's going to work out.
And he's going to point. He's going to point to the scoreboard and say, "Told you." But yeah, I you know what? There are worse ways probably as far as figuring out what your punt tight end is going to be on a given week. He's in a dome. There's no weather. How about that? There's one angle you can work with as far as K. Dotton.
I didn't work that into the worksheet this week, but yeah.
Did not want to submit that. All right, quarterbacks that are left standing. Rich, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I mean, really, Justin Fields is the only guy that I've got kind of on the outsider that we haven't talked about outside of Purdy, Josh Allen. 4 straight Lions games have now gone over the game total. Daigle's kind of hinted upon this defense. They're allowing 2.5 points per drive over their past 6 games, 31st in the NFL over that span. They've allowed opponents to score on 42% of their drives. That's 30th in the NFL. They have allowed over their past 6 games, that same window, they've allowed quarterbacks to complete 66% of their passes. That's 24th in the league. 8.8 yards per pass attempt. That's 31st in the league. 12 passing touchdowns. They've allowed a QB1 scoring week in 4 of those 6 games, including to Fields himself a couple weeks ago. And we kind of hit upon earlier on the rushing prop that Dean wants you to take, that Justin Fields has rushed for 100 yards in 3 straight games against the Detroit Lions.
I'm going to bet it right now, actually. Let me see. Before you move
Outline it, you coward. I'll outline it. Take 100 yards.
Yeah.
What is 100? What is the 100?
I'll let you know. I only have one book here in Florida. It's a Monopoly.
It's probably not on DK FanDuel yet.
I think I don't know if the alt lines are up, but yeah, like it's, the regular number is like 16.5. Let me see if I can find it here on the Hard Rock as I throw it to John as far as some potential quarterbacks. Anybody left that we want to talk about that you're interested in playing?
I could do either Desmond Ridder or Baker Mayfield. I think both are in good matchups, depending on which pieces you want to stack more. Because with Baker, it's quite easy to get the Mike Evans, who we'll also talk about. You can also keep Rachaad White going if you'd like to. No one's coming for his job. And then just tack on Baker. For Desmond Ridder, we saw him come back, but also the last time he played the Bucs, he still averaged over 10 yards per attempt. Ultimately didn't get there through the passing game, but we're now seeing Kyle Pitts, Drake London used slightly more. It's a good matchup as well indoors for a week littered with weather. So I could say I'm really confident in Josh Allen. Beyond that, the 4 spin down quarterbacks are, as we talked about, Gardner Minshew, Brock Purdy, Drake London, or Baker Mayfield, and Desmond Ridder. And I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go if I spin down. That's kind of it for my pool, honestly.
Oh, Purdy on FanDuel is no longer the pay down. He's more than Justin Fields. Like they have. Like we've talked about all season. Like FanDuel is way more aggressive this season than DraftKings.
They are reactionary. They're certainly quick to adjust. Well, what's the number you'd be willing to pay? What do you want for Fields at 100 yards, 100-yard rushing? What's the number that like you're not like a total donkey if you're betting the alt line? What do you want?
I mean, it's going to be amazing, right? Like if his line is 60. If it's over under on whatever book you're on is 60.5, then 40 plus yards has got to be like, plus four something.
I was gonna say plus 430.
I was hoping for 4-1. It's plus 375 is
almost
is the number. Okay. Yeah. Minus 115 over 60.5. We're gonna live bet that, and we'll be posting this on Twitter when it doesn't win. We'll see. It's gonna cash. It's gonna cash this week for sure. Anything else that's as far as quarterbacks? I believe that is it. Let's knock out. It. Yeah. Running backs. I will let John start off with running backs this week.
I understand. We've tried the Austin Eckler thing in the past, and it didn't go well. And to be quite honest with you, it probably won't go well again. But in their last 4 games out of their bye, like the Broncos have still been ceding a ton of yardage to opposing running backs. James Cook and Latavius Murray averaged 8 yards per carry. Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison collectively averaged 6 yards per carry. And then Jerome Ford himself got there on the ground, 7.2 yards per carry. So although the Texans didn't get there last week, like Dameon Pierce eventually grinded to a touchdown, they had 23 carries overall. If we think Austin Eckler is going to continue getting the same share of touches, and the Chargers are, I don't know how, but the Chargers are favorites by at least a field goal at home, then I think it's a good spot for Austin Eckler. I can't convince anyone to play him. I get it. I'm struggling to convince myself to play him. But again, he's going to be 5% Austin Eckler, and his salary's going down on both sides. So I think that's one of my favorite spend-up options.
Yeah, the other thing going down is the miles per hour as far as the running. Brad in chat is saying 13 miles per hour, hashtag Daigle ruins Christmas. I agree. Is that a bit there?
It's a bad play. It's a terrible play. Like Rich tried it a couple weeks ago. It did not go well. It's a terrible
That was
play.
The game. That was the Packers game.
Well,
and he's expensive. I'll play a bad, cheap play. I don't want to play a bad, expensive play. It's just kind of, and of course, the argument you're making more than anything is the ownership angle, which
he's been over 8K all year on DraftKings. He's now under 8K. The price is getting cheaper. Is it cheap enough? That's the really question we're asking. But
he does have 3 top 5 scoring weeks. It's like, it's not like he has been like completely dust for fantasy. It's just these last 3 weeks have been so bad. The bummer is he's just not catching the football, right? Like that's the thing. He's averaging 3.4 catches per game. It's his fewest in over his career since 2018. That's like the big thing. It's because Austin Eckler, if you look at like his explosive run rate and everything, like it's all in line with where it was last year. Like he wasn't a good runner last year, but he was just catching a shitload of passes and he's scoring touchdowns. And like he hasn't scored a touchdown for 3 games in a row, so it's kind of exposed some of that.
The entire offense, though, like it's Keenan Allen and then like Quentin Johnston is looking like a mass. I know it's super early.
They're
whatever.
so broken. They're so.
Yeah. They're getting Josh Palmer back. Can you believe it? Like we're actually excited. Like Josh Palmer's coming back.
Yeah.
Is he coming back this week?
He started practicing. So like supposedly if he was gonna get through practice with no like kind of recoil, like he was gonna be up. He's gonna be up this week, but we'll see. Follow up the rest of the week.
What's the head coach is Dunzo, right? For first Monday when the season's over.
Brandon Staley, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
I think there's more to it than Brandon Staley. I mean, I just think fire the coaches in the NFL, like the way the NFL operates, like the whole fire the coach. It's just so lazy to me, and like the NBA, I guess, is worse with it. But like, and this whole thing, like Daigle talked about like earlier with the Bills, like we've seen and we saw like Vrabel fire the special teams coach this week. Like this stuff is all just like we have to have a coach's head for some goofy thing that went wrong in a game. Like it's just it's tired. I mean, whatever. This is whatever. Let's move on. Let's talk about let's talk more running backs. How about Alvin Kamara?
You don't want to talk about why Frank Reich was fired?
I mean, it's all like the whole fire the coach thing, and maybe because like where I live, and I'm not even a Browns fan, but like, you know, I worked in a warehouse before this, and like we always had sports radio on, and literally for the like 20 years of my life working in a warehouse, like it was literally just Jamoke after Jamoke calling the show of like fire this head coach, fire this head coach, fire this head coach. And it's like, dude, like this isn't the problem. Like, and it's the next guy, right? Like they want to fire Stefanski now because every Browns player's gotten hurt, right? And like Kevin Stefanski's not winning games with Joe fucking Flacco. Like it's just the same stuff, man. Like it's NFL fans it's a weird thing that like we still live in this like repeated cycle of like how the sport is analyzed, how it's talked about. Let's talk about running backs though.
Hey, am I wrong to say that Cleveland still has kind of a thriving sports talk radio market? I always see them popping up.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of pockets.
What else do they do
up on it?
Yeah,
yeah. Like I know New York, like this Philadelphia, New York, and like Cleveland. Are like I feel like are like sports talk radio cities.
Chicago too.
So, Chicago. That's another.
Bears, Bulls, Cubs, of course. Yeah.
Like I mean, I loved it as a kid. I haven't listened to it in a long time, but
I'm not gonna lie. If you understand the bit, I still kind of love it. I really dig sports radio talk, but I don't actually listen anymore. I just hear it, and hearing it is fun.
Rich, did you just like listen in the warehouse? Or you like debating with people, or you just kind of like take a step? I'm sure you've heard some terrible takes in the warehouse. I would have, and on the radio while you're listening to it.
Yeah. Man, always.
Did you partake or just kind of like what's the point?
It's tough, man. That's why, Dean, I started the bit where people ask what I do. It's predictive analysis, because if you say what I do, they want to talk to me about football, and the first thing they say is some just like token, like top-down stuff that they heard, like, you know, on ESPN.
Producer TJ, we have producer TJ with us today in the chat saying, I used to listen to a lot of sports radio about the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Oh my God, the offense, the Rough Riders, they got to get rid of everybody. And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like maybe TJ can let us know in the chat. The CFL, did they once upon a time have like 10 teams and 2 of them were named the Rough Riders? I think that was a thing. Like they couldn't come up with anything else. There was 2 teams named the Rough Riders. I could be making that up, but I think that's true.
They definitely had DFS on DraftKings, because I remember playing for a few weeks and I was like, what am I doing? I think that was around the pandemic time. I was like, I got to get a grip on my life here.
Shout out Toronto Argonauts and Ricky Williams back in the day. I remember that was the thing, but you got to be old enough to remember that, I suppose. Doug Flutie. There you go. And
Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was also playing in CFL for a little bit.
For how long? I feel like that didn't happen very long.
That's my one action figure I have too, is the great Johnny Manziel.
You want to talk running backs, Rich? Go for it.
Yeah, running backs.
I know. Listen, man, I like it. It's just talk about who we play in CFL this week. CFL, like DFS, is a big thing too. I know people play.
Is it still a big thing?
I don't know, but I thought people still played it, right?
It seems fun. It's a huge field. Like is there only 3 downs? The end zone is bigger, right? What else am I missing?
I also did pick up because the pandemic, there was just so little to do, and I felt terrible because like us in football were some of the few people to keep our jobs, and it's like I'm not saving lives. Why are other people getting fired? And I'm talking about football the busiest time of my life. So I also
the NFL should make the end zone bigger this year.
Yeah, that's very true. I also played League of Legends DFS. That's the moral of the story. And so now I understand about the Dragon Den or whatever the hell it's called. Whenever the dragons are supposed to get in the middle of the field.
Hit the lock button on Faker. That's all I can tell you about LOL.
There you go. Yeah.
Is he still a thing? Faker, is he still really good at the LOL?
I have no
that's
idea,
all I got.
man. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with all the ancillary football leagues is like you see it in the NFL. Like there aren't 32 good people on the planet that can play quarterback, and that's what always hurts these other leagues. Like when Daigle came to my house and who'd you try to get me to watch Daigle that day? I forget. But I'm like, dude, like these quarterbacks, like it's football with bad quarterback play is unwatchable, and like that's what's happened this year with the NFL, and that's what all these other leagues have because the NFL can't even get. Half the league can't get good quarterbacks.
By the way,
it was I tried to get you to watch the same guy who bounces around to every AAA league, Luis Perez.
Oh God,
yeah,
this guy.
We've seen Luis Perez play like in April every single year.
Scoring is down in the NFL. One rule change. I have several. I could propose them at some point, but one more proposal. This is an easy one. Let's just do the college thing with one leg. Why do we need 2 feet in? Well, 1 foot. That's good. There you go. More fun touchdowns.
Dude, illegal man downfield. Like whoever like pulled the memo up at like the meetings this year and like told all the refs like we've got to really emphasize illegal of all the fucking things to like the hammer home this year. Illegal man downfield is like the thing we're worried about NFL. Like this is where we're gonna like say like we've got to crack down on illegal man. Like I feel like there's been so many touchdowns negated by an illegal man downfield this year on a play that like the guy had nothing to do with the play whatsoever.
It's like an offensive lineman wanders an extra yard. Like, who cares? It did not affect the play in any possible way. But
we got it.
All right.
We got to have the pandemic happen again. We got to get back to real football. Like when the league
they just, like, we're not calling holding.
Yeah, we got to get a virus back in the world again. Like that was the best football ever.
Can I put the show off the rails for 1 second? And this is a serious.
We're there,
since it's already not here.
I proposed this, and people think I'm crazy. They think it's ridiculous. They think it's an absurd idea. But follow me. Tell me what you think. A field goal. Field goal is worth 3 points. That's fine, right? You get 3 points for a field goal. I want to have field goals that hit the goalpost, that hit the upright, worth 4 points. 4 points. How much fun is that? Aiming for the uprights? You're down 4. It's like 4th and 7 on the 10-yard line. Do we go for it? Or maybe how precise is our kicker? Can he hit the goalpost? And if it hits the goalpost and goes in, 5 points. That's a 5-point field goal. Who's not more than that? How much fun is that?
Do you have to declare before your kick attempt that you're aiming for the goalpost? Because you shouldn't get the 4 points if you accidentally do it.
I haven't. We're still in beta.
Dean, you haven't thought through this all the way.
I just think it'd be so much fun. Like we've seen doinks all the time, and it's like, oh my god, he got a 4-pointer. How much fun would it be? These field goals are just boring as is. Like it's stupid that like 98% of the players can't do it. Why is that deciding the game? Like 98% of the players in the field that play football professionally have no ability to do this. Like you might as well bake a cake with you as an extra point.
That's my favorite bit. Whatever, like when a kicker gets hurt and the entire organization freaks out on the sideline, it's like, why can't you just put your punter in? Like, why can't a punter? Trust me, I don't understand. I don't understand the basics, the talent it takes to kick. But why can't a punter be a kicker? I do not understand why everyone freaks out after that.
So are you guys interested?
You remember when kicking was hard? Like when we were growing up, like if a dude kicked a 50-yard field goal, it was like we're like, it was just like, man, Morton Anderson's such a weapon. Like they've got a dude that can kick 50-yard field goals. And now just like, we're just seeing 60-yarders like every weekend.
Yep.
I didn't plan this, but like I did a deep dive into Mark Mosley's MVP season in the 1982 season. It was a strike shortened season, 9 games. He made 20 of 21 field goals. And at the time it was a record. He had 20 consecutive field goals. He missed 3 extra points. His longest field goal was 48 yards. He was the MVP of the league. It's insane.
It happened.
They lost their minds in 1982.
History. Put it on the board.
This is my era-adjusted argument that I usually have too many beers and take it too far and start saying LaDainian Tomlinson was not wouldn't play 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, your take that Marshall Faulk wouldn't be good at football today.
That's probably still correct. Either way, though, I take it too far. But like, dude, when you get back to the 70s and 80s, like the numbers those guys put up and like their performances, it clearly wasn't even good. Clearly wasn't good. Era
Rich, you have
adjustment.
some running backs.
Also, the Cowboys are definitely losing in the playoffs when this dude misses his first field goal, right? Like the Gary Anderson here. Like, there's just like no way this story doesn't end this way, right? Like, because in Cowboys fashion,
like the Dolphins, we still haven't seen the Cowboys beat anybody. Like, trust me, it's great. They're beating down their opponents. That's something NFL teams have to do. Like the Eagles, look at their schedule. And yes, and the Eagles, look at their schedule the last 5 weeks, and all they do is show up and take care of business, minus the 49ers game, because their defense was on the field so long, they couldn't even keep up. They were just so tired by the second quarter. But like the Cowboys, congratulations. You're beating all the dumb opponents. Actually beat somebody since the last time we saw you play the Niners and the Eagles. Nothing happened. You just didn't do anything.
John, I'm building a parlay. I got Buffalo and Philadelphia. That's what I'm hearing. That's what it sounds like you're doing this week.
No, the Cowboys-Eagles game I'm confused about. I don't know about that one.
I thought for sure you were saying that Philadelphia is going to beat Dallas.
I think so. Probably Eagles money line, but I like the overs my bet because I don't know how anyone stops anyone. I have no idea why they don't just run back 0 punts again.
We got to get back to give our favorite plays as far as running back. John, you knocked some out.
Yeah, we're still on running backs.
Who do we leave off the board, Rich?
Alvin Kamara. Just play, obviously the Panthers are a team we just circle every week, right? They're 29th in points allowed per drive on the road. They've trailed for 90% of their second half snaps. He's averaging a career high, just under 7 catches per game for Alvin Kamara. So like running backs just keep getting there against the Panthers. They woke up the dormant Tony Pollard a couple weeks ago. Derrick Henry, came out of his slumber against the Panthers. I know a lot of people say it's just Dehember again, but we'll see if the Dolphins are up 30, if Dehember is happening or not, on Monday night. But yeah, I mean, the Panthers literally are a team we've just looked at. I mean, running backs have scored 42% of the points, fantasy points they've allowed this season. It's the highest rate in the league. They've allowed 20 touchdowns to running backs. That includes 2 to Tony Jones when these teams played back. And remember Tony Jones played for the Saints at one point this year? That happened this season.
They cut him the week they gave him 13 carries. They were like, all right, we saw you get the carries, no more.
Yeah.
And while we're here, I was just going to ask Rich, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. But
no, go ahead.
Winston being quarterback for New Orleans, we all wanted Winston to be a thing. He's likely to be the quarterback this week, right? It seems that it's kind of trending that way. We didn't mention him in a dome. And I'm also curious, the second part of that question is, how much does Taysom Hill possibly murk Kamara? Now, didn't hurt him last week, obviously, but he was there. He was around. But I guess you're not really concerned with Taysom.
No, so I think that Jameis is he's tough to like really be excited about for a couple of reasons. Like one is the Saints probably don't need Jameis, right? Like they probably can pull the reins off of Jameis. They can either do that through game script or they could do that through like Taysom Hill in the run game because of the things I just laid out about the Panthers. Also, the Panthers low key, even on a per play basis, pretty decent pass defense. Everything else, very bad for the Panthers. They even held Dak Prescott on this heater that Dak Prescott's been on. Dak Prescott went through 5 yards per pass attempt against the Panthers. So I think we see like Jameis probably in a situation where like he doesn't have to be the hair on fire Jameis, and whether that's through game script being reined in or them using Taysom in like this heavy run approach, like they did when these teams played. Because I think when these teams played in week 2, yeah, Taysom rushed 9 times in that game. Kamara, remember, was still suspended at this time, but Taysom rushed 9 times in that game. I think it's be a heavy run script, and also if Jameis just throws like a dumbass interception or something, like who's to rule out like Taysom could like really play a lot of snaps like under center.
I guess there's a chance Carr can still play. TJ saying in chat that Carr is limited for practice.
Yeah, this dude's got alligator blood. Like we can't like Derek Carr. Like this dude, like he could be like he just keeps coming back, man.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact the crowd was booing every single time he was on the field and cheering every single time.
At one point though, Derek Carr completed I think 16 straight passes in that game and like was getting booed just like relentlessly.
You got anything else as far as RBs, or you want to jump to receivers, Rich?
The only other guy I'll mention is just Bijan, right? Like, because Bijan, he's got 23, 19, 21 touches the past 3 games. They're at home in a dome, like Daigle's thing, the moral of this story this week. And the last time these teams played was the infamous like headache game where he only played 11 snaps. But in that game, Atlanta running backs had 170 yards, 36 touches. We've seen Tampa Bay really kind of get leaky the past few weeks against running backs. I mean, obviously they gave up 100 yards and a touchdown to Christian McCaffrey, who hasn't, but then Jonathan Taylor had 90 yards and 2 touchdowns also in that game. Zach Moss had 70 yards rushing. Chuba Hubbard last week had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Bijan is still one of these guys, like he floats in like that nebulous price zone. I feel like just no one ever really gets to him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, jump to receivers, Rich. Amon-Ra, is he somebody we're going with? Doesn't look at the best in game environment this week against Chicago, but you're always on Amon-Ra. We talked about Keenan Allen basically the last man standing for the Chargers. Those are the big spends, at least. Mike Evans, every single year, 1,000 yards, future Hall of Famer. Despite the other people saying that's not going to happen, it's going to happen for sure. Jefferson coming back this week.
Not going to happen. What, Hall of Fame?
Yeah, people are saying he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, or he's not a Hall of Famer.
Who are these people? Who are these people? What is your circle?
Who are these people?
Try a first ballot Hall of Famer. What are we doing?
He won't get into first ballot. I bet he doesn't get first ballot. Well, because no wide receivers do, right? Like T.O. wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, you sit around and trash everybody.
What else does he got to do?
That's the thing, though, is just because receivers such a log jam now because of the dumbass process they have. And now every guy's going to have inflated numbers. Now, Mike Evans, I'm going to bet he's a Hall of Famer. But I'm saying the process is going to red tape him because look at all the receivers, like the red tape all these guys have to go through. Like, look at Torrey Holt, like what he's going through, right? Like, look at everything these guys go through.
17 games, more passing.
And by the time Mike Evans retires, like we're going to have another like slew of dudes with just unreal like receiving numbers. But like he's absolutely a Hall of Famer.
Mike Evans has put up like the Tom Brady longevity argument as opposed to those other guys. Torrey Holt was great, but Torrey Holt was also a product of the greatest show on turf. Well, not product of. He was a part of the greatest show on turf, an integral part.
Stat accumulator is a talent. That look at the Baseball Hall of Fame, right? And that's just how that goes sometimes. Staying healthy and longevity. But derailing the show again. My apologies. Yeah. But receivers.
But man, the process for these receivers in the Hall of Fame is brutal, man.
Yeah. The whole process is they'll like all sit around and basically like trying to poke holes. Like, why shouldn't this guy be in here? And they trash him for like a day. And
it's like a dinner, right? It's they have everyone in the room for like a dinner, and like you make a case for a guy to get in, and like people like to get up and debate like why they're not.
It's a roast basically, and then every once in a while they let him in. It's like, all right, you can join us. We're just joshing you. Here's a yellow jacket. Rich, receivers.
Yeah, I mean, you keep playing Mike Evans. Like, say he's averaging 16.6 yards per catch, his highest rate in a season since 2019. He has his highest target share in a season since 2016. His highest target route per route run since 2016. AJ Terrell did practice today, but there's a chance he's in concussion protocol, doesn't get out. You could keep playing DJ Moore, who's been on a heater with, Justin Fields and the Lions, man. I mean, over the past 6 games, they are 22nd in yards per game allowed to wide receivers, 29th in touchdowns allowed. We've seen Keenan Allen go for 11, 175 and 2. DJ Moore himself have 7, 96 and 1. Christian Watson, 5 for 94. Olave, 119 last week. And then just for one more Falcon, because we keep bringing up Falcons, but yeah, I mean, Drake London looks pretty interesting at his price, especially if people want to play Elijah Moore as like a chalk guy that's like similarly priced.
All right, John, jump in here. Some receivers. I need some.
And Portland Sutton too.
Okay. Sutton caught a long one last week. I think he got a bunch of long passes thrown his way.
I mean, it's the Cortland Sutton way. Like, this is like the dude's going to make one, like he's on his Brandon Lloyd, like kind of stuff the season this year where like, he's just going to make one ridiculous catch a game, but he has 50% of their end zone targets this year.
Wow.
The Chargers have been getting kind of flooded on the outside all season. So he doesn't have a 100-yard game this year, but I think he's going to get one this week.
And last week was our Jerry Jeudy game, like the Austin Eckler game.
Dude, it should have been. Russ hates Jerry Jeudy, dude. Did you see that play where he was just naked?
Did you see Sean Payton talked about it after the game too? Like Sean Payton actually just like kind of blamed subtly Russ. He was like, nope, Judy's open. Don't look at me.
I don't understand the read on that. Maybe because it's 4th and 1 and he just wanted to get the first down, but I don't understand how he doesn't make that read on that crosser, man.
John, some receivers. I want some cheapies, and I have a couple that I think might be interesting, and I'm curious to get some thoughts on, but I want to see what you present first.
I got one quick
one. I said interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Damn, we made it this far. Probably not. I haven't been paying attention. I have one, and then you can toss your cheapies off of us because I don't have cheapies, unfortunately. I need them too. And Zay Flowers is the only other one. I do like Drake London a whole lot. Rich mentioned him. But Zay Flowers now in his 2 starts without Mark Andrews has led the team in targets and has scored 17.7 and 23.2 PPR points in those starts. So give us some cheapies now.
Let's see. How much is I just realized Noah Brown, but I don't know if he's so cheap. How cheap is Noah Brown this week?
Man, it's if you're gonna run him out at DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, that's a tough ask.
So Mingo, Mingo, I don't know if it's correlation in small samples. It's in a dome, probably on the comeback. He got the most targets I think he's seen all season long last week. He's cheap. Thielen is like official. He's old now. He's older than he was when the season started when he was smashing. I think it's over.
I had my last stand with Thielen last week. I actually spent real dollars on him, and we're not doing that ever again. Correct.
Rich, you said just a quick no for Mingo. Like he's 3.5. I'm just, I'm not trying to. It's not a hard sell, but like no.
I mean, I'm not playing any Panthers pass catchers.
Okay. Well, I had a couple more, and geez, I can't find where they're at for some reason. But this is why we're struggling for cheapies. JSN, he's a potential cheapie. Elijah Moore is the one that's gonna pop. Yeah. Stay tuned to the weather on that one because it could potentially
Amari
be
Cooper. Amari Cooper's another one of these guys you can't get rid of. Like you think you're like, oh, Amari Cooper, like he lost his leg, he's not going to play this week, and that dude's like practicing on Friday, and like he's back. Like
he was concussed, right? Is that? I think he had a concussion protocol, if I'm not mistaken.
He was rib injury 2 weeks ago, and then a concussion with the rib injury. And it wouldn't surprise me if he pops back in. And if he pops back in, like you can't play Elijah Moore with confidence at all. Elijah Moore didn't have a target in the first quarter with Amari Cooper playing, and then Cooper left, and then they started flinging it to Moore on the outside.
Yeah, I think people will get to Parker Washington. Brown's number 1 in the NFL against slot receivers. They've only got 10 points per game at home this year too, because they just keep facing these quarterbacks, these bad quarterbacks at home.
Where did Parker Washington come from? I saw him. Okay, but I mean, was this guy like a?
No, Parker Washington is a baller. He was, I believe, the youngest wide receiver in this class. He just played with Sean Clifford in college, but he's a good player, man.
Okay,
he's just a pure slot though, but he can ball.
You think Beathard Beathard feels like a guy that likes to work in the slot, like those 5-yard passes.
Beathard cannot ball though. That's
he's fine. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, and I mean this. The Browns defense is weird because like they're super bad on the road and they've been really excellent at home. Like
they were also a little banged up last week. Yeah. Myles Garrett.
Yeah, Denzel Ward's coming back this week.
Yeah, I think they're getting healthy now. That's my read on it.
Kirk obviously got hurt. If you missed that, TJ so eloquently saying in the chat that his nut exploded. I don't know if that was. Do we have confirmation on that? But
that's actually the medical term, right?
Okay, exploding. Yeah. It shouldn't joke. That's got to be brutal. We feel for him. I saw it was a groin, but I guess that makes sense too. Right?
On a 26-yard catch too, the dude hauled it in, and like his groin exploded, or the abdomen.
Can I tell you?
I had Christian Kirk over 825 receiving yards this year. This is why you don't bet those overs, folks.
This is why you bet unders. Be boring. Yep.
I had Christian
Cortland Sutton's touchdowns though, which cashed in like week 6.
Nice.
I had Kirk over 22.5 yards as longest reception this week, and he got it in the first week.
Nice.
And yeah, like in the first play, the very first play,
play.
Got super lucky on that one. But that's a quick recovery.
Like people mentioning Parker Washington. Parker Washington probably has a higher lifespan than Calvin Ridley right now. Like it's got to be Jover for Ridley from CJ Beathard. Not pretty at all.
Rich, don't you know the move when your player gets injured? You just tweet at DraftKings or at FanDuel.
Avoid the ticket.
How am I supposed to account for injuries? I didn't know this guy. What? It's a violent sport. You didn't tell me this.
That's like your thing, right? Don't you like quote tweet all those people, do you?
I don't root for injury, but my favorite thing when somebody gets injured is I go to like the mentions for FanDuel and DraftKings, and
it's always whoever just got hurt. Yeah,
it was trending.
Wild.
Refund.
It was literally trending this past week was Kirk refund, I believe is what it was. because people were so upset about it. It's like, welcome to the world of betting.
Yeah, so sorry, man. Like it's
Yeah.
You could have bet the under there, pal. Like, you want the books
I
to
did
pay off the
have
over
the
and the
eight,
under.
I had 825, and I was just looking at like some of my season-long stuff the other day, and I was like, oh, this one is definitely cashing. Well, I jinxed that one.
Yeah.
It is the worst. Like it's I understand the frustration, and there's so many new
I'm not
bettors
frustrated
now.
by it. I was saying pour one out.
Yeah, yeah.
Also,
I understand why the general
he
public
lost
is
his
annoyed.
nut. Like pour one
Exploded,
out.
I heard.
It's worse for him. Somebody that's lost like $100.
Yeah,
I'm sure he would change seats pretty quickly if given the option. Tight ends. Rich, you drew the lucky straw here. Pitch some tight ends to us.
You said optimal, Dean.
You tell me to pick a tight end.
Dean, you said optimal.
It's another Brown. It's funny though because I ran the RG stuff, the RG projections, and I ran the Blitz projections, and I was getting two different guys. According to
I assume that the grinders have Brevin Jordan still projected, so like he's probably popping.
No, well, we have Njoku being the top guy. I'm trying to see if we have.
I thought you were going to say Harrison Bryant too.
No. Njoku is still 4-1, and the second most popular guy on the RG projections is the number one popular guy on Derek Hardy's the Blitz, and this is a play you're not going to want to play.
Kyle Pitts.
Yes, there it is.
Falcons week, baby. We named every Falcon.
We have talked about literally every Falcon. You're right.
He's 3-7, but rightfully so, right? Like, shouldn't he be 3-7? He might be overpriced.
Yeah. Well, again, like this is like the one guy like DraftKings like adjusts, right? Like we talked about Thielen last week, right? It's like, oh, I want to play Thielen, like the matchup might look good, but I'm like, dude, like they haven't changed his pricing. Like John's talked about Eckler, like there's no discounts, but Kyle Pitts, like everyone dropped him. Like he's like, I think is he 4 something too on FanDuel? What is he on FanDuel? 5-3. 5-3.
Yeah, that's too expensive for me on FanDuel.
And it's not like his role has changed at all. He's still doing the same exact thing. He's still literally top 2 in the league.
I assume Isaiah Likely is probably hitting in the models too, although he has not been good in any game Mark Andrews missed so far this season.
Yeah, he's hitting some,
led
but not
the team
a lot.
Receiving yards. Don't pay attention that it was 40 yards. Ignore that part. But he still led the team in receiving yards.
Josh in chat saying Komet. Komet is the third most popular tight end hitting the optimals right now on a Wednesday nights. Komet a pretty fair pairing with Fields. If Fields is going to be popular.
All right, I'm gonna walk outside Sunday morning. There's really no other choice. I have to walk outside.
Yeah, it's probably. Is Chicago one of the 3 teams that's going to be as far as weather? I ran them down. I think Chicago's one of them, right? Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the show, Dean. The game opened at 46 total, and it's already been slammed down to 40. Like the total is just crushing. It's just going up.
Well, what's interesting is that, again, this is raw support on a Wednesday, and this will change, but that one is just yellow for what it's worth. He just has like likely dry, winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusts at 20 miles per hour. Temperatures around 40 degrees, minor impacts.
My only concern is I may have PTSD, but the last time we did this, Lions and Vikings and Lambeau, or not Lambeau, in Soldier Field seemed like a great spot. I walk outside. It's 46 degrees and sunny. I order my iced oat milk latte. It was absolutely delicious. I come back in. I start building Justin Fields stacks with Justin Jefferson running back. And then when the cards turn, I suddenly have 16% Justin Fields in tournaments. I don't want 16% Justin Fields. Like I want 7% Justin Fields. And so if everyone's waiting on this game for the cards to turn, I'm just going to avoid this game. It's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now.
Some other cheapies being nominated in chat as far as receivers. I'm just thinking now Jennings or Tillman if Cooper is out. And that's, I guess, Jawan Jennings.
We don't need to go.
Does anyone want to answer that?
Jawan Jennings plays for the 49ers.
Yeah. No, I think he's just saying like Jennings or Tillman if Cooper happens to be out.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not playing. Listen, I'm not playing a lot of guys in this Browns-Jaguars game. I'm going to be honest with you.
If not the optimizer for tight ends, anything else that we want to mention when it comes to, you're going to be able to get Hawkinson really low owned. Kelsey's probably not going to get that heavily played.
I saw someone bring up Tanner Hudson in the chat, and like I want to get there, but like he doesn't play. Like he ran 10 pass routes.
Yeah, he didn't even play this past week. Yeah,
he's the guy that keeps like getting targets though. Like he had 4 for 35, but like he ran 10 pass routes. Like when he's in the game, they actually throw to him. But like the problem is he's not playing, and it's one of these situations like just play him. That's not like what are you getting out of Irv Smith?
We are projecting Schultz in, by the way. That's why Jordan is not popping.
Oh, okay.
So, that would move. But we're currently projecting Schultz to be back, so Jordan not in play. But I'm sure
because it's a funnel. I mean, the Jets, because that's the one thing that when people talk about like Pitts and like how he was huge last week, and Daigle even talked about a little bit James Cook, but like the Jets, you have to remember, like dudes, nobody throws their wide receivers against the Jets except for the Dolphins because their guys are faster than everybody. But the Jets funnel targets to tight ends and running backs, so they get inflated. It's like Pitts got used last week because, like, there's a little bit of fun. Although they did throw him a couple long balls on DJ Reed.
We got anything else as far as tight ends? Anything else as far as the slate? Or are we going to be done with football? We give the people an hour and a half of football. Go ahead, John.
I think the last thing is that I did hear a rumor that K-Dotton scores every fourth game. So that's the last one.
And the earth is flat too.
But we're gonna be stacking Bucks Falcons, huh? If that's what we came to. Daigle, why did you pick Bucks Falcons on this?
Why didn't I? I thought about it, but it's still 39.5. Like I know we're trying to beat the market when talking about these games, but it's still 39.5. Like it's really bad.
We mentioned everybody in the Falcons, but Ritter. He's 5.
Daigle brought up
I touched on him. Like
yeah.
10 yards per laps matchup. Like, honestly, the way the quarterbacks work, especially in slates like this, if you're not getting to Josh Allen, you're just you're tacking on the quarterback. There's really not even a good, like, micro-analysis thing to say about him. It's like, okay, if I want to play Kyle Pitts and Drake London because they're so cheap, I can tack on Desmond Ritter. That's the argument. He also has rushing upside and a soft matchup against this Bucs defense that has also been leaking the 4th highest rate of explosive plays, and we cross our fingers. That's the only micro-analysis it is.
Rich, you are moving the needle. Your son is moving the needle in chat. Braden Hribar in chats talking about
K-Dot. Hribar's changing ownership right now. Yeah.
I'm trying to bet overs on Otten right now, and they just locked it up in the sports book because they're listening to. The number will be adjusted for sure, but is that how we're ending the show? Is that what we're going to talk about a movie in a second?
Braden Hribar played Juju Smith-Schuster in some tournaments last week.
Oh, does he know what year? I mean, Jude, not even like the best Patriot receiver.
He did win some money though. He cashed. So hey, Juju got him to the plays he needed to get to. He accessed the.
Is your son going to play Showdown tomorrow night? New England versus the Steelers?
Man. Yeah, you got.
Oh my God!
I'm sure.
30.5 total. Defenses are going to be in the captain. It's just going to be an absolute disaster. But something's got to win.
Imagine if Najee doesn't end up playing because it's going to be like Twitter on a Jalen Warren Island game is going to be unbearable, right? Like that's an experience I don't want to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch the game. I'm not going to be on Twitter at all tomorrow. We're going to cancel it all.
The baseball teams will be happy to see Harris take a seat, though. But the
Twitter Najee Harris Jalen Warren war is something I'm just not participating in the year 2023.
Well, let's participate and talk a little bit of movies. That's it. That's it for football. If you guys, if you wanted football, you got football. You got an hour and a half of football. Now we're going to talk about the movie we were obligated to watch last week. I believe, Rich, you assigned us Fat Man. Is that correct? You were the one that won last week, correct?
Yes.
And producer Rob, unfortunately, is not going to be with us. TJ said he sent a video, which I don't know how it's going to work.
Video.
Yeah, let's play this video.
Cut Rob in here.
Hey, Rob Coakley, usually here with you guys on Wednesday nights, but I flew across the country to California, so I couldn't make it, and I need to give you at least my 1-minute review on the Fat Man. So Dean, Reebs, and even Daigle, I am a little bit sorry that I'm not there, but I am in a better place at the moment. So before we get into it, Daigle, how the hell did you win this contest? You weren't even in it. I can't wait to see what you pick for us, though. Now let's get on to the Fat Man. Everything I've done is more entertaining than the movie that I'm talking about right now. This movie tried to be a dark comedy, didn't land with almost anything at all. What is this military plot line? Is it just to get some cannon fodder for the assassin that's coming after Santa Claus, played by Mel Gibson, who never wears red? This movie is a train wreck, bro. Like, what are we doing in this movie? Who is this director? What was this script? I love Walter Goggins. Terrible role. for him. They just show him half the movie just doing things that have nothing to do with the plot. We watch him drive through all of what I'm assuming is Canada. Did not like this movie. Mel Gibson's monologue at the end to the kid, it adds a half star back for me. I'm going to give this a 1.2. Go out of your way not to watch this movie. There is no real redeeming qualities, and it's boring. If you're going to be bad, at least be fun. And it's not. Guys, can't wait to hear your scores, and I will see you. Wow, voice messed up there. I'm going to leave it, and I will see you next week. Bye.
All right, so we saw Fat Man starring, as Rob told you, starring Mel Gibson, as well as Walter Goggins. According to Rotten Tomatoes, this is the summary. To save his declining business, Kris Kringle, also known as Santa Claus, is forced into a partnership with the U.S. military, making matters worse. Kris gets locked into a deadly battle of wits against a highly skilled assassin hired by a precocious 12-year-old after receiving a lump of coal in his stocking. And I don't want to just go off on the rant, but that you read that, and it's like, oh my God, this is going to be fun. It's going to be completely ridiculous. It's going to be completely absurd. It's going to go off the rails. It's just going to be total nonsense. You don't ask any questions, like a popcorn movie. And Rob really hit on it. It was boring. Like they didn't lean in on like fun. They had no interest in having any fun in this movie. I don't know if you saw Violent Night, another Christmas movie, with a Santa Claus guy, and they leaned in on the fun. They had a great time, and it was just it was over the top. And this was just like nothing happened. This could have been done like in 8 minutes. This entire movie, the entire plot could have been done in 8 minutes. I will yield for now, but John, jump in here as far as Fat Man. I wholeheartedly agree with Rob's take, and massively disappointed. I thought it would be fun, and I could not believe, if anything, that there should be like some winking at the camera, some jokes, and it just didn't happen.
Within 30 minutes, I wrote in my movie notes, a lot of meat on the bone here, because it should have been more wacky. They had a lot of room to goof around, and I genuinely love the premise. I don't understand why Christmas was failing and we need to hire the military to a 2-year contract that actually in the end became a 1-year contract. Like they actually just negated the second year. I don't understand how that happened either, but I loved it. I thought, okay, this could work. Actually, we're finagling our way to Santa needing the military to understand his ways of efficiency. Thus, this makes a lot of sense. But then, yes, the angry kid. How did he hire the assassin, who is Walton Goggins? It's probably like cherry pick this role too, because it's kind of perfect for him. Why wasn't it more fun? Why wasn't there more jokes? Why was it trying to be an action movie when it wasn't even like a Fast and the Furious action movie? It was like a dramatic action movie. It didn't need to be this at all. I think that's what I was most frustrated about, honestly.
Rich?
Dude, when Rob brought up about like the stuff, like I don't understand why we were to show like Goggins go through all this stuff. Like he went to like bought that hamster wheel. Like, what are we doing? Like, why is this in the movie? Like, why is this even in the movie?
Yeah.
Why is any of this in the movie? Like 90% of it's like, nothing's happening here.
What is happening? My expectations were pretty low, but my expectations were low under the premise that, I thought it was going to be like goofy bad. Like, it just never was goofy. It tried to be like a dark comedy and be serious. The only thing that I liked about this was Mel Gibson's relationship with his wife. The only thing I liked, that like Santa had like a real like hardship, like real relationship. That was the only part that I thought was like redeeming. I don't understand the whole premise of how he's operating. Oh, we should have did a spoiler for this one, just because in case people were listening in the car and they do have kids, right? Like, we are talking about is that time of year in case there are young kids.
Oh yeah. So spoiler now. Spoiler now. If your kids are in the car, please turn this off for all the reasons above.
I remember I did a podcast with Harmon a couple years ago, and he said something about Santa, and he was like, "Man, we should probably take that out. Like, someone might be listening to this." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, man. You don't know who people listen to in their car. Probably not to this show in particular, because we get a little loose-lipped at points. But pre-spoiler there."
Yeah, Dean, go ahead, because genuinely.
But also, wait, the one thing I wanted to bring up in the mid thought there was that What's like the actual business of Christmas? I don't get it. Like at one point he's like calling Elon Musk, like trying to get business, like are like people infringing on like Santa's territory and making their own toys that he's not delivering. Like I don't really understand what's going on here.
And why is it?
Why
is
was
it
Christmas
profitable?
Failing? Why was Christmas failing?
It costs too much money to give out. What money are you making? Like, what's even like contributing to the positive? Like, you can actually like.
How
I
did
didn't
you get your
understand
contract? It makes no sense at all. Where does your salary come from? But to begin with, like
at one point they try to go into like this plot line of like where Christmas is failing because there are no good kids in the world anymore, and like that part's kind of interesting, but they don't do anything with that. It's like that's like a business aspect, and I don't understand the business model. Like,
but that would be good for business. You have to buy less toys. It costs less money to manufacture toys, if the kids are bad. But the only
good bit they did is when that elf disassembled that bomb. So it was like the only good bit they did.
But they had already lost me like 30 minutes before that. But yeah, like, I was already out. I was just powering through.
I do also. I want more backstory the most to the Mel Gibson Walton Goggins stand down whenever he says like, how did you think I get this job? Not because I'm fat and jolly. And then they started firing guns at one another. Okay, let's hear who else attacked Santa. I would love to know that. I want the backstory of that portion as well. I'm just frustrated, Dean, because again, the premise is actually great. I kind of love this idea.
It could have been fun.
I think the cast, oddly enough, is perfect for this idea, but the director, the script writer let them down entirely. There could have been so much more here.
Stay in your lane. Like they're trying to teach us a lesson. They're taking anything that's fun in this movie. Also, the movie's called Fat Man. Jolly St. Nick's. He's not fat like Mel Gibson's. He's not like svelte, but make him fatter. Like give us like the Santa Claus thing or something like that.
I think he's a good Santa though.
He's a fine Santa, but like they didn't like fatten him up, give him like the Nutty Professor treatment or something like that. I don't understand. That's a nitpick maybe, but like. And that's traditional. What are they? Jolly St. Nick, and then they call him the Fat Man. Yeah, sure, but like he wasn't that fat. He wasn't fat enough to be the Fat Man. Is what I'm saying. That's all. That's one of my issues among many. I'm not sure if anybody in chat has actually seen this movie.
I mean, that hand cannon he had was pretty cool, but that was it.
Oh, the Mrs. Claus hand cannon was the best. We got the double action revolver she had.
It was disappointing. We got to put a grade on it. We got to do the Rotten Tomatoes. We got to do the IMDb. And I had to pull the page up, so I'm gonna, I can't participate. I'm not gonna say anything because I was just gonna make a comment, but I don't want to sway the numbers. Let's go IMDb first. Rich, put a score on it from IMDb for Fat Man.
5.5.
All right, John.
Man, I'm so pissed. It should have been good. It should have been special.
Yeah,
it should have been.
It should have been. Like, it's great. It's actually like great. It's so great in premise. And I even had fun for a few times, but man, it could have done so much more. I'm going to say lower, 5.1, but I bet it is between 5 and 6.
It is. It's a 5.9 on IMDb.
Okay.
And now let's pull up Rotten Tomatoes. Give me the critic score, 119 critics. What's weird is I don't know how this works here, Rich. It says 119 critics have submitted a number or a thumb, I guess, up or down. An audience score fewer than 50 verified ratings. Usually it's like 50,000 verified people.
I don't think was out or anything. I don't know if this got released in theaters. I don't remember. I remember like seeing like a trailer for it at one point.
Yes.
And then I don't remember anything after that, like it coming out or like getting any type of like, this is on Netflix or this is on whatever. I don't like, it kind of just came and went, and there's probably a good reason for that.
Yes, there is a good reason for it. So what do you got? Critic, give me both. Give me the,
this is definitely a critic score has got to be like, dude, 35%. Audience though, I bet audience is still high. I bet audience is still like 80%, 75, 80%.
Okay. Give me an official number. What do you got? What's your official number on audience?
Audience, 81%.
John?
Lower again, 76%, but Rich is in the range.
That's for audience.
Yes. Audience. Oh, and the critics. Critics. gosh, what, 41%, I'm going to say?
Oh, you guys together, like both you guys was swept the Showcase Showdown. You would have got both prizes because 44% for the critics.
That's higher than I
119
thought,
critics. The audience, I'm like, why is the audience so high? It's fewer than 50 people. 84% from the audience. Like, it's only if you like this movie you're inspired to say how much you liked it.
So just go let people know.
Yeah, but I mean, just massively disappointing. Have you guys seen Violent Night by chance? The other,
I haven't.
it's pretty fun. I would recommend that. Like, that's what this should have been. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
That's a David Arbor jam, right?
Yes. And I think that's a high critic score as well.
But he got skinny though. He lost all that weight. How does he pull off? Are you body shaming him in that movie, or is he fat?
The movie's not called Fat Man. It's called Violent Night.
Is he fat enough in that movie for you, Dean?
Mel Gibson did call himself the Fat Man like 4 times in this movie.
Yeah, and he's not like he's not running a marathon anytime soon. But right, there's other people you picture that might play the Fat Man. Violent Night, by the way, 74% from the critics, 88% from the audience. We got to put a score on it ourselves. Rich, you want to go first? You give it a tight end, right? What terrible tight end are we thinking of?
This is for me. This is a Kyle Brady. If you remember, former first round pick. I think Kyle Brady was the 9th overall draft selection when he came out, and just was a completely boring player his whole career. Jet Jaguar. I think he finished up with the Patriots, but like this guy did nothing in the NFL of note. And he should have been fun because that's why I equate this movie, right? He was a high draft pick. There was expectations and just was boring.
It's last week I thought we could not top Randy McMichael, gotta mention, and this week we did. You topped it. Kyle Brady, who played in the NFL.
I'm not gonna fake the funk, Dean.
Don't fake the funk on the nasty dunk. I remember Kyle Brady too, and like it's funny, I don't remember one thing about him, which is kind of the point.
Yes.
Like Penn State tight end.
What's the most yards Kyle Brady in a season? It had to be like 650 or something.
In the year 2000, it's a Conan O'Brien bit, he had 729 yards.
Woo!
So there you go. Yeah. He played 15 of 16 games for Jacksonville. But
how
otherwise,
many career touchdowns did this guy score?
A career high in one season was 5 in 1998.
That
and
sounds
in total,
right.
25 touchdowns. But again, he played like 13 seasons. So he just kind of hung around. Yeah, so not very fantasy relevant. Basically, he might have had a week here and a week there, but not something we're excited about. John, you got a score for Batman?
Should be higher, but I'm going to take into account the 5.9 score of IMDb, and I'm going to go 5.9 for my score as well, out of 10.
We're being helped out here in chat. This movie did not make $300,000 in the. Yeah, I think
How
it was
much
in the
did
theaters.
Goggins and Gibson make?
More, I would imagine. I mean, Gibson obviously not getting what he used to get, but I'm assuming the movie was a flop. I don't know. Maybe internationally, it's like huge in Japan or something. I couldn't speak to that. I have no idea. But John, you are up. You have the bar is low. We got to do better. I don't know if you want to stay on the Christmas theme. We were talking Christmas.
He's getting props. Is he going to get props or something?
He's still going to get props.
I don't know. He left.
Oh, did he just take off? I don't know. Maybe he was so disgusted by Batman.
Keep an eye on the private chat, Dean. Come on.
I assumed he was going to get some kind of prop or something. I don't know.
Oh, we got to kill some time now, I suppose. Okay, yeah. He says he's got to, let's see, he's got to list these movies I'm offering for the next week. Okay. Oh, he's got to use the bathroom really quickly. Okay. Well, we can kill some time. But your favorite Christmas movie of all time, Rich? We talked about this pre-show. Do you have one that's like a go-to every single year the family gathers around?
I would say I would rank Home Alone relatively high because just I was the perfect demographic. Obviously, when that came out, recently obviously love Elf like a lot of people. Throwback, obviously Christmas Story, which was filmed near where I am. We actually have like a really cool like Christmas story store too that's near me. Me and my wife were just there too, and it's got like the original the trailer from Christmas Vacation, also a great Christmas movie as well that you can go see too as well. But yeah, those are all in there for me.
Is the store open year round? Like, can I go there in March?
Yeah, it's called Castle Noel.
Okay, yeah.
You can do like a tour.
I went to UCF, and outside of UCF, outside of Orlando, there's a city called Christmas, and like they build, like they have like I don't know how many people are in Christmas. It's a small little town, but like the same sort of deal where the town, I guess, survives off of people shopping for Christmas stuff. So you said you were already there. Is the tree already up for you, Rich? You one of those people that puts it up right after Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, my wife is Black Friday.
There you go. Like clockwork.
There's something you'd enjoy, Dean, in Chicago that pops up from the end of November until the 1st of January called the Chris Kindle Market. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it literally is basically the state fair of Chicago, but Christmas themed and only for 1 month. Like they even throw in all the food, all the drinks, all the decor, the crazy food too. Like, your bourbon hot chocolates and everything else. They have German and Austrian wine tasting. It's just like this. Just imagine all the food and drinks you want inside of a little area in Chicago for 1 month only.
There you go. Sold. I assume you're going to be going?
Oh yeah, Friday. Absolutely.
You going by yourself like you like to do sometimes, or
not to the Chris Kindle
sure
Market? We'll go enjoy it with friends, but definitely loading up on pretty much whatever they would like to offer me.
You got some props for us, or you have some selections? You're going to give us some choices.
He's just using the bathroom. I thought for sure Daigle was getting like some props or something, like he's known to do sometimes.
Okay.
No props. I literally just needed to run to the bathroom because this show goes 2 hours. That was my fault.
We got to get catheters for this show for sure. We go way too long. But John,
old.
what do you got? Have you decided on a movie? Are we still thinking about it? You going to give us some options?
I wrote them down, and I kind of feel like, although it was a good idea, Rich presented a good idea to the table, we were still left empty-handed. Like, I still wanted more. So I'm going to keep with the holiday theme, and we're going to try this again. We're going to try this one more time. So I have 5 selections for y'all. I'm going to let you choose between them. 5. Yeah. We're extending this because we want to get it right. We don't want to be let down like Fat Band. So we'll go with first option is The Night Before. And maybe we got there last week, right? The Seth Rogen film. Night Before is one. If you want to go comedy range, I haven't seen it. If I have, I don't remember it. So that tells you everything you need to know. But there's that. There is the Jason Bateman one that I didn't know existed called Office Christmas Party.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if anyone's seen that.
Yep.
There is Silent Night.
Well, we both just said I didn't see Violent Night.
I just saw it, but like
Silent Night.
Oh,
Silent
Night.
Silent Night, I believe, is a thriller. Look up the theme, Rich, and read off the description.
Silent Night. It's a John Woo movie, and Joel Kinnaman's in it. It looks relatively new.
Keira Knightley as well. Matthew.
Oh, it's a 2023 movie.
Yeah, Christmas.
Is it a Christmas movie?
It is.
It is a Christmas movie.
Holiday movie. Yeah. So there's that.
Joel Kinnaman's an interesting dude. Oh, Kid Cudi is in this.
Okay, so that's
a John Woo Kid Cudi jam. This is not what I expected.
Wait, is there 2 different movies? I have one from 2021 called Silent Night. You're saying yours is from 2023?
The Keira Knightley one.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking. This one has Joel Kinnaman, which is, now it's Joel Kim and John Woo and Kid Cudi. How could
there are 2 Silent Nights? I think you're on the correct one. Continue.
Yeah, I think you're on the 2021 one. No, I don't know which one you're on.
What's
Dean.
the other one here? Oh,
I found the John Woo one.
Oh, the other one looks like a Christmas movie as well.
Oh, maybe I'm on the wrong
Malcolm
one.
McDowell jam.
All right, so both Silent
Jamie
Nights.
King. It's Jamie King, not Keira Knightley. I can see how that got crossed up.
All right, both Silent Nights. Now it's 6 movies. You could pick which one. And then Kiss Kiss Bang Bang from 2005. I know for sure. Dean has probably definitely seen that because it's a classic.
Dean has to love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Pat Mayo hyped that movie up, and like he talked about it so much, and I eventually caught it, and it's very, very good. It's one of those movies for some reason that's lost.
We don't have to watch it then because Rich, you've seen it too, right?
Yeah, it's a Shane Black movie. My friend swears I look like Shane Black, but I don't believe him. I've heard worse.
All right, so we're gonna cancel Kiss, and then finally, because y'all talked about it so much, I quickly typed in Violent Night. So think about all those options.
I'm good with whatever. I just saw Violent Night like literally this week. I wanted to see both of them, and I
All
kind
right,
of compared.
cancel Violent Night then.
But like it's fresh in my mind. So like if you guys want to watch
You
it,
could
by
do
all
a
means.
review of it. I have not seen Violent or Silent Night. Both comedies I think are very enjoyable. If no one's seen those,
I've seen them both. They're both fun.
They are fun movies.
If you've seen it both, then maybe all of us, chat included, should do Silent Night. But where is it streaming?
Which one?
Look up the new one first, since they're both holiday movies. Look up the Keira Knightley Silent Night and see where it is streaming.
Wait, which one? Wait, I thought we declared Keira Knightley wasn't in one of them. Or is there a third one with Keira Knightley?
No, there are two of them.
So
Jamie King is in one.
Oh, okay. So Jamie King, where's it?
Did you hear me when I first said that there's a John Woo movie with Kid Cudi?
Where is that streaming at? There are three. There apparently
three.
The chat is clearing up. There actually are three.
Jesus, guys, we gotta put a moratorium on people making more.
Okay, so we're canceling the night before, and we're just
the
gonna
John
get down.
Woo one is not playing anywhere. Just for the record, it's playing at the cinema, I believe. Like Silent Night's
it's
like
in theaters.
It's like coming out in the theaters now.
I don't want y'all. I don't want to make y'all go to theaters. I would, but that'd be the first for the show. We have to actually leave our homes.
Commitment.
Yeah, it's a pretty big commitment. I would do it.
Movie John Woo made.
I don't know.
Yeah, we know him for Face Off, right? That's like his most famous, I would imagine.
Yeah, and then that the worst mission, the only Mission Impossible that's bad.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he took it. I didn't know he was on one of the Mission Impossible movies.
The newest Mission Impossible is quite literally incredible. It may have changed my life.
Oh yeah, Mission Impossible 3 through 7 are awesome.
7 is amazing. So good.
I like the Philip Seymour Hoffman one. That's the one. I don't know what number that is.
That's the third one. That's when they rekindled itself after John Woo killed it. I'm confused on the Silent Night. I don't know what we're watching here. I don't know.
Not the one that's in theaters.
There's so many Silent Nights.
Not the one that's in theaters. So another one.
It's too confusing. So John, you had this plan. You like 5 or 6 movies for us, and we still can't get one for some reason. What are we officially locking in? We got to step aside and get out of here. The people have been hanging us for 2 hours. We do appreciate that. TJ, producer TJ's had a long day.
I think 2021 Silent Night is what we're going for. That's the one with Keira Knightley.
Okay.
Which is a thriller and a holiday movie.
All right. Did you want to give John? What is your favorite Christmas movie? Do you happen to have one off the dome? Is there a chalk pick for you? Rich gave the chalk.
It's the cliche, Die Hard and Elf. Those are my 2 favorites.
There you go. Those are pretty solid answers. According to the chat, by the way, Superbash is saying Hard Boiled is the best John movie.
Oh yeah, that movie rules.
I've heard of it. I don't know if I've seen it before, but I've definitely heard of it. But
you should watch that, Dean. Watch that instead
of Silent Night. Well, it's John's call. I don't want to step on toes. Whatever you want us to watch, we're going to watch.
Which one? What do you want to watch instead?
I don't know, man. Listen, I don't know what Silent. I'm gonna watch every Silent Night just to cover my bases here. There's 32 Silent Nights, and I gotta make sure I watch the right one.
I kind of want to make everyone go to the theater, but I don't want to because that's mean. That's a new grounds for the show.
What are we doing here?
There is a Keira Knightley Silent Night. I think is that what we're settling on, because that is both a holiday movie and a thriller. I guess is that where we're locking in, John?
It says it's a black comedy film.
Okay.
It's an apocalyptic black comedy with Keira Knightley, and it's a holiday movie. I say let's go that direction.
All right, that sounds good for me.
2021.
John, does that work for you, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I participate by the rules of this that we've established. I will watch what you guys put out. Although Daigle was not in the actual tournament.
Yeah, like you said, there was an asterisk by it, but this is what I would have played, is what he said.
I play my single entry lineup every week in that. Why else would I show y'all a Kenny Pickett lineup? Don't blame me for letting Kenny Pickett beat y'all.
It was a rough week for you. I think I had Stevenson, if I'm not mistaken, in that lineup, but doesn't matter. We'll bounce back next week. We'll sign a movie for the people, but John, tell the people where they can find you as far as the socials. I know they know, but there's like one person, like we're gonna get more of this John Daigle guy.
You can find me not in theaters watching Silent Night, but at home watching 2021 Silent Night, since there are apparently 3 of them, although I am interested in the John Woo one now. You can also find me at NotJDaigle on Twitter. And you don't need my redraft content anymore because like it's you know what your team is, but I still tweet about it sometimes. And if you want to ask me a question there, that's cool too.
Rich?
Yeah, all my work is at Chart Football Analysis. I break down every player, every game of the week. We like Daigle. I mean, it's like, listen, we're not moving fantasy subs at this point for season long. So you can catch me with Daigle and Dean every Wednesday at 9, reviewing movies and talking about some bad quarterbacks.
Do appreciate y'all listening, sticking around for the 2 hours. Good luck this week for Rich, for John, for producer TJ, for John Woo, for Silent Night, for Kyle Brady.
All of them.
I was Dean. Thanks for listening. Go win something this week. Come back with us for week 15 for the season-long playoffs. There you go. Good times. We're out of here. Oh!